Welcome back, Silozens at Large. Season 3 of Silo is finally here, and Will Shift Dust is back in Silo TV mode to dive into all of the details. What happened, what you might have missed, and what it means for the story so far, and what it might mean for the story going forward. I'm Elysia, our resident reader of the Silo books and short stories.
And I'm Luke Midder. I am representing the show only fans, trying to make sure that no future book spoilers sneak into this episode. The tinfoil hat theories only stay fresh if I remain unspoiled. And I have so many tinfoil hat theories based on this episode, I had to go out and buy an entirely new sheet of tinfoil.
I can't wait to hear them. If you are new, welcome. We're excited to have you along for our season 3 journey. And since it's a new season, just to briefly introduce ourselves again, my name's Elysia Brenner, and I have a background in, amongst other things, psychology and the study of literature and film, and I am based in Amsterdam.
And I'm based in Scotland. Elysia says I'm a professor. I wish I was a professor.
I'll never get your title right. Please clarify.
I'm an associate lecturer in politics and international relations with a specialism in military history at the University of St Andrews. And part of what I do is look at conflicts in the Middle East, although mostly from a British or American point of view. So I don't speak Arabic or Farsi.
But this tells you a bit about the parts of our backgrounds that will come into play in our discussion of what's going on in this show.
Yeah.
This is not our only podcast, so stick around until the end to hear about the other podcasts that each of us are engaged in. But this is our 3rd season of full Silo coverage here on the Will Shift Dust feed, and so you'll find all of those past episodes in this feed, starting with in-depth analysis of the very first trailers for season 1. Sorry about the sound back then. We've definitely improved a lot there. But basically, all along the way, we've been dissecting every scene with lots of talks about the creators behind the scenes and the craft that goes into this, plus interviews with key people like Hugh Howey, the writer of the novels, and Sal Calleros from the TV Writers Room. So please go back and explore all of those episodes if you have not yet and are interested.
Okay, and just to lay the ground rules of what will and won't be discussed, the discussion will be spoiler-free beyond what's already aired, because my innocence must be protected at all costs. But there will be full spoilers for season 1 and 2, and now episode 1 of season 3. Elysia can bring up anything in the books that's already happened on screen, but nothing in the books that hasn't already happened.
Yes. So we're protecting the innocence of the non-book readers, but there is a separate book club that I will talk about more at the end of the episode that Abby and I do on the Patreon and Supercast feed. So stay tuned if you are interested in that. And there will be a season pass option again. And we've also decided, by the way, that we did do 2 episodes so far reacting to the trailers that came out for this season. And we talked about like the new cast members announced there and did our speculation based on the stuff there. But some listeners requested last season, so we'll keep that up this season, that we not bring up anything from the trailers until that appears on screen. So we will be avoiding that as well. And I'll just acknowledge that, Luke, I'm sorry. I sent you a really spoilery clip that I thought was from the first episode because you watched the first episode before I did. We are not going to discuss that on this podcast until that clip airs, and because it turns out it was not this episode.
It was a massive spoiler.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I thought it was I assumed it was like the beginning of this episode. But it looks like that the news outlet that released it, I think it was a mistake because they took it down afterwards. So
okay.
So we'll tell you, it won't be this episode, but we'll tell you in a future episode when it does happen. But Abby and I will be discussing it in the Full Spoiler Book Club. We do have screeners for this season, which is why we can get these episodes out as the embargo lifts, midnight Pacific time on episode day. But we are not watching ahead of the episode that we're talking about right now. So any speculation we have is genuine. And that includes any speculation that I have as the book reader. This show is playing fast and loose with the book plot. And there's lots of new characters that don't exist in the books, and different characters have lived, whereas others have died that are still alive in the books. So if I am speculating on something, I promise it's genuine. I'm not being fake. I genuinely do not know most of the time where a certain plot line is going, although I do know the general outline of this story. So, and if there's something that comes up that I do know the answer to based on the books, then I will just say I can't answer that and we'll move on. Just one extra piece of note keeping. We are recording this during the week of the big European heat wave. So my computer decided to do a fun thing where the graphics card stops working in the heat. So I have a trained fan on it. If you hear that humming in the background, sorry, it'll be a little bit quieter in future episodes, and I'll try to edit out here. So maybe you don't hear it at all. But yeah, let's talk about episode 1 of season 3. Who Are You? 52 minutes long. Who are you? 52 minutes long, directed by Michael Dinner, who's one of the main directors of the series these past couple seasons. He also directed season 2, episodes 1, 2, 6, and 7. And he's directing episodes 1 through 3 of this season. And this episode was written by Graham Yost, the showrunner of the show, who's otherwise best known for Justified. But of course, it's based on the Silo series of books by Hugh Howey, namely the primary trilogy, Wool, Shift, and Dust, hence the name of this podcast. And this is the penultimate season. The show is going to end with season 4, which has already been filmed. And these 2 seasons are mostly mixing together stuff from the second book, Shift, and which is like the origin story, that all the stuff that's happening in the Washington D.C. storyline, and eventually the third book, Dust. They're definitely going to be covering that in the season as well to keep going with the Juliette side of the storyline. This one, though, this first episode is picking up from the season 2 cliffhanger and includes elements from the very end of the first book, Wool. So this first episode was released Friday, July 3rd, 2026 on Apple TV. And just a quick summary. 3 months after the events of the season 2 finale, Juliette has been made mayor of Silo 18, but she's having trouble remembering her life before that, both her friends in the Down Deep and the series of events that turned her into a hero for the Silo at large. Interlaced through these scenes, we catch glimpses of junior Congressman Daniel and his sister Charlotte, a Navy fighter jet pilot, and the other inhabitants of Washington, D.C. in a world that looks a lot like our own. So, Luke, what are your overall thoughts on this season premiere?
I thought they did a really good job of meshing and managing the 2 storylines, because I was a bit worried about how they were going to do that. I thought where we are with Juliette is an interesting place, although I kind of hope she gets her memory back relatively quickly. We had like a whole season of her wandering around solving puzzles last year. I kind of don't want another season of that. And also, it just breaks my heart to see how upset Shirley is. Like, I just want the mechanical gang back together.
Yeah.
I thought the Washington D.C. part of the story, the present day part of the story, set up a lot of really interesting questions. Mostly, what is that goo? And also, I mean, they did so. It was sort of mentioned. It was sort of flagged in the trailers, but I'm going to take slight internet points because aliens, or maybe aliens, kind of aliens.
You can't take internet points until you're proven correct.
Okay, I can't take internet points yet. Yeah, I like that. I like the episode. I kind of want to see where Walker is. She didn't pop up at all this episode, so that was interesting.
Yeah. We noticed. I mean, we said we will talk about not, we won't talk about what's in the trailer, but what we noticed was not in the trailer was anything about characters who did not show up in this episode, like
Yes.
Walker or Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So questions. Yeah, and there was no Silo 17 at all this week, which is where Solo and the kids are. Do you have any thoughts about what might be going on over there?
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense because Juliette has lost her memory, so we don't know what's going on over there, and obviously no one in Silo 18 knows that they're there. So I kind of think that's a choice by the writers to put us in the shoes of the Siloisms of Silo 18
Mm-hmm.
for an episode. So I don't think it necessarily means anything bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a recap for anyone who's having a fuzzy memory about it, last season, Juliette left behind Solo in Silo 17 with 5 kids/teens, Rick, Audrey, Hope, Benny, and Rick and Audrey's baby. So hopefully we'll find out more about them soon. But yeah, my thoughts about this episode, I thought it was a good start to the season. I'm very intrigued. As a book reader, some things are exciting to me where I'm like, oh, okay. So they are confirming that it's going to be the same solution as the book, it seems, based on things that have been laid out, but they're getting there in totally different ways. And it's interesting to me, the new characters introduced this episode, the ones in the Washington, D.C. timeline, are all from the book. And the new characters introduced in Silo 18 are all new, with one exception, who I think is actually a renamed character from the book because they changed his personality.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And just, as far as book stuff, just a warning up front that Daniel's name has been changed in the book from Donald. So if I say Donald, just know I mean Daniel. Every time I get the word Daniel to come out of my mouth for that character, it's a minor win. But shall we get into the episode itself?
Yeah, let's.
Your regularly scheduled breakdown will begin in 3, 2, 1.
So we're going to be going plot by plot rather than scene by scene. And we're going to focus first today on what's going on in Silo 18 and then on the new characters in Washington, D.C. in that world, where and whatever that takes place. So let's start with, did you notice that they changed the intro?
They did. They made it sort of slightly darker. And they changed. I can't really put my finger on how they've changed the music, but they've definitely changed the intro music as well.
Yeah, it's like softer and thinner. Yeah, it's got a different quality to it. And yeah, indeed, it's like darker and like maybe it's greener or later bluer. Like I did a side by side comparison, and the other one's more oranges and reds.
Yeah. Is that because we started off in mechanical and we're now sort of moving to the mids and the top of the silo?
I don't know, because a lot of the elements are about death. So if I run through quickly the changes, so both of them start by zooming in on an entrance to the silo, but in the previous version it was closed, and now that entrance to the silo is open.
Yeah.
We don't get, there's a spiral stair clip that we had in the original, then now instead we just immediately zoom down the center of the silo, which is a brighter light in there without the flecks of light that were floating through before. And it seems like there's this thing where there's like these sort of light ghosts of people going through the silo. Now they are sparser and dimmer, like there's fewer people. And then there's other things, like there was the peach stuff. There was a peach that was decaying in the ground and then later falling. We don't get that in the new version. Instead, we go directly to the forest, which used to be lush and green in the intro, but now it's dead and then it's this dim light, no leaves on the trees. And instead of a ripe peach falling, we get a rotten. At first, I thought it was a pumpkin, but now I think it might be an apple.
I think it's an apple, yeah.
Has a stem. Which is, so peach, we've already identified, peach keeps being brought up in the show. Helen made a reference in the season 2 finale. We got a reference in this episode. The Georgia state is the peach state. And now, we've met, like, of the new characters we've met, most of them are from Georgia. So there you go. So that's the connection there. The apple, I'm not sure. Like I was looking it up. Okay, could it be also a state? And that would be Washington State, but there's no book link there. And just for any non-Americans, Washington State is on the other side of the country from Washington D.C. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about the peach to apple change and whole to rotting?
No, except that there's an implication that the silo is in trouble, is dying, is rotting. Now, is that kind of literal or is it metaphorical from all the lies and
Hmm.
deceptions that we know have been going on in season 1 and 2? Or are we just overthinking it? Quite possibly.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's why you're listening to us. I mean, I'll say that a lot more people died in the revolt in the book than we saw happen in the TV show. We really only had like Papa Nichols and well, I guess Cooper died,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's about that. I don't know. Um, And now we also the new thing we get instead of this prolonged sequence of the glowing people in like these silo outlines, now we get a tower of gears that zooms out to reveal some sort of steampunk orrery, which is a model of like a mechanical model of the solar system. Although we don't get a full view of it, but it almost looks like our Earth is at the center. But that's I don't know. I tried looking through that a few times and I couldn't really tell how the orrery was laid out. Did
Yeah,
you?
well, didn't we see that model of the solar system?
In the vault?
Yeah, in the vault in Silo 17 at the end of last season.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and then there's before like it would just end with a glowing gear dissolving into the title, which we do come to eventually in this version. But first there's a few new things. There's some kind of circular hatch where a central aperture opens like a camera. And of course, there's camera motifs, so maybe it's tied to
Yeah.
that. And then we get a dome like of the Capitol building in Washington D.C., which is in brittle stone in the darkness. Okay, yeah, where that's obviously a location in the series now. And then we get a close up of the top of a light bulb zooming in on the filaments. Not completely sure what that's about. And then we get the glowing bitty people in the impressionistic silo levels in orange hue now. But now we also have other silos visible around it because obviously we know now that there are multiple silos.
Yes.
Um, and then we get the top down view with the silo with 6 more silos around it, and then it ends the same way, dissolving into the title through the gear. Any more thoughts on that opening and what it might mean?
No, not really. No, not really.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Shall we get into the
Yeah, let's get into the meat and drink of it.
episode itself? Okay. Let's start with in Silo 18, Juliette's missing memories. Juliette Nichols, Rebecca Ferguson, now mayor of Silo 18, is recovering from her fiery re-entrance into the silo in the season 2 finale. Only she's having trouble remembering what exactly she did to earn all this fame. She doesn't even seem to remember her old friends Knox, Shane McRae, Shirley, Remy Milner, or Deputy Hank Murphy, Billy Postlethwaite.
I mean, she doesn't seem to remember her dad either, so I'm wondering, like, what memories
She
she
doesn't
does.
remember anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does she remember anything at all?
She doesn't even remember that she doesn't like mushrooms. Yeah. But head of IT, Camille Sims, played by Alexandria Riley, hovers over every interaction with these people, the living ones anyway, making sure she focuses on their function in the silo while mostly forgetting their friendship. But her nurse, Amy, Jacqueline Berses, reminds Juliette that the silo is at peace because of you, because you came back. So what do you think that's true? Do you think the silo is a more peaceful place because Juliette doesn't remember the other silos to tell people?
Well, I mean, I think yes, and also the thing at season 10 where she held up the sign to the camera for people not to go outside. Although we'll come back to that in a bit, I imagine. But yeah, I think this has allowed the Simses as judge and head of IT to spin a story that can incorporate the rebellion and can say that, yeah, the rebels were right and they were fighting a good fight, but ultimately to keep the status quo basically intact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, are Knox and Shirley starting to regret working with Camille last season? And because it seems like, as you said, Knox, Hank, and especially Shirley seem devastated that Juliet doesn't know who they are. And indeed, Juliet doesn't know about her father's death, which, like, she had to be told about it. And it's like sort of this abstract way, like, oh, is that where he died? Huh.
Yeah.
Um, Let's see, Abby's probably going to call out Hank looks devastated, but he doesn't mention that he's the one who dropped the timer that made him have to blow
Oh,
himself
come
up.
on. Come on. Like, yeah. I mean, you're not going to mention that, are you? Like, why would you?
But it's interesting that with Knox and Shirley, it's almost like Knox seems to buy into what Camille's saying. Like, he's like, oh, we just have to wait. She says so. And Shirley's like, bullshit. We've been waiting 2 months. How much longer do we have to wait?
I think the thing is with Knox, he is still head of mechanical. So, to some extent, he is still part of the power structure that runs the silo.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a part of this new council that they set up that I'm sure we'll come back to. And I just think Knox has more on his plate than Shirley does. Like, he has more to distract himself than Shirley does. Because it actually takes Knox a while in season 2 to come over to the side of completely standing up to IT, or he's the one who's in season 2 who's looking for a compromise, looking for a way out. Because he's the head of mechanical, he's got responsibilities, he's got maybe hundreds of people that count on him. So I think this is the thing about Knox. Knox is a good guy. He will do the right thing in the end, but I think he's very aware of his responsibilities, and so if he can avoid an argument, he will. Whereas Shirley will cross the street to find an argument. That's just the nature of her personality.
Yeah, and I think it's also important, in terms of being the role follower, it's important to remember that in this version of the story, it's different in the book, but in this version of the story, Knox is the one who turned turned Juliette in when she was on the run and hiding after, when Bernard was looking for her at the end of the first season. So he definitely is more following the rules.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted more to find out more about in this episode, which we didn't, is are Knox and Shirley a couple? Was that have they decided that they thought better of it? It's been 3 months.
Yeah, but that is a good question, because I also wonder, like, if they're feeling this way about things, and we'll talk more about implications that Shirley might be involved in some other activities. Are they still on the same side of things? Are they still, does Knox think like, oh, rebellion's done, and Shirley thinks, no, it's not?
Yeah, I suspect that probably is the case. But yeah, also I want Shroxy.
Sherlock's, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I hope that they are still together. But they might have to go through some stuff, because
Yeah.
this show likes to put people through stuff interpersonally. And for example, okay, so here's a bone thrown out for the people who believe that Shirley and Juliette might have been a coupling in the prior times before the show started. When they have their garden room talk later, she says, Camille told me we used to be good friends. And she says, that's one way of putting it. So that's a bone for the Shirley shippers.
I wouldn't be completely opposed to that, but in my head canon, they've always been just like surrogate sisters to each other, because neither of them had much. Juliette was estranged from her family, and as far as we know, Shirley doesn't seem to have had much in the way of family.
They had Martha.
They had Martha, yeah.
Well, when they showed the flashbacks, was that last season or season before? Anyway, when they showed the flashbacks to their childhood, didn't she offered Juliette to come live with her and her family, right?
Yeah, but we never see them. We never hear anything about them.
No, we don't know if they're still around or what. Yeah. What do you think's going on with these quote unquote vitamins that?
I just took that straight away as they're the memory suppressor drugs that Sims was telling Patrick Kennedy about last season.
I do wonder, since they're pointing at it so hard, part of me always wonders in that case if it's a possible misdirect, but we'll see.
Possibly, but like, there's
Mhm.
that bit at the end where the algorithm goes double the dosage, and then you see they put down a lot more pills than were there at the beginning of the episode. So,
Mhm. Um, we do see Juliette looking in the mirror, and I think we were speculating in the trailer stuff that she doesn't remember that about the cameras there, and we find out later that they've all been told that most of the cameras have been
yeah,
removed.
I like that.
Sure.
Define most, Robert. I want to know, like, are we talking 50%? Are we talking 80%? Are we talking 65? What are we talking about, Robert?
Yeah, he took down like 2 cameras and he's like, I did something. Don't worry about it. But we see also that Juliette has a shoulder wound. And that is, of course, from where Audrey shot her with an arrow last
Yeah.
season when they first met in the other silo. But she also has some, it looks like burn marks on her neck and hands. I guess that's from where like the fire could reach under her helmet or her gloves.
Yeah, I would think so. Before I watched episode 1, I went back and rewatched season 2
Hmm.
just to remind myself. And actually, if you watch episode 10, so where Bernard and Juliette get burned, you can quite actually watch it carefully. You can see that Bernard actually like falls on top of her.
To protect her, yeah.
Yeah, to protect her. I don't know whether it's to protect her or whether it's just he happens to fall that way, but he definitely falls on top of her. So it does make sense that she is much less, A, because of the suit, which we'll talk about,
Mhm.
but B, just because of the mechanics of it, it does make sense that
Yeah.
she is less badly burned than he is.
I'll say there's something similar in the books where it's different. In the books, she knows she's gonna like be met by fire when she comes back, so she makes this fireproof blanket. Um, but when she comes in, like Bernard kind of kicks out of the blanket, and there's always question: was he doing that to protect her or what? Why did he, you know, leave the protection of the blanket? And I always interpreted it as protecting her. And I feel like in this show they made it more explicit because they had the talk beforehand, and we'll come back to this scene in a bit. But they had the talk beforehand about where she has some information about the silo because she found out about this so-called safeguard procedure and how Silo 17 temporarily reversed it. So we don't know what all she knows about that because they cut away from her and Solo investigating, but she knows something. And that's the thing that's like, eating at her brain. And she's like, I know there's something
Yeah.
important. There's something important. But she told Bernard about this and he's like, oh, that's important. We can use that info to save the silo. And that would be a reason why he would save her at his own
Yes.
expense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you recognize that the nurse, Amy, is the same nurse who was taking care of Gloria in season 1?
No, I didn't. I saw that in the episode notes. It's like, oh, huh. Okay.
So is that suspicious or coincidental?
I think I'm smelling judicial. I'm smelling judicial all over that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just because especially it's interesting because Gloria was also on some sort of medication that wasn't making her forget in the same way that Juliette is, but it was sort of detaching her from reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just say that this is a book difference with Juliette losing her memory like this. This is not something that happens in the book, but it's probably, and this is something I thought I know where in the book lore this comes from, and it is the same thing I think they were teasing at with Gloria's story in the Flame Keepers in season 1, episode 7. But I think this bit about Juliette losing her memory is likely inspired by these lines at the end of the first book, Wool. It wasn't just that the burns were bad, it was that they were everywhere. The days of recovery were spent sliding in and out of painkiller fogs. Juliette came out of what felt like a deep dream, weeks of haze, nightmares of drowning and burning, of being outside, of dozens of silos just like hers. The drugs had kept the pain at bay, but her consciousness too. She didn't mind the stings and aches if it meant winning back her mind. It was an easy trade. So I feel like that probably describes where she's at by the end of this episode. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Although, like you say, it's a bit different because these. I think these drugs are deliberately designed to sort of, like you say, dissociate people.
Right. Right. In
Yeah.
this case, it seems to mostly have been like because she was on painkillers or, just heavy
Yeah.
medication knocking her out because she was burnt all over. Yeah. It's interesting. I was noticing she keeps ordering soup for dinner. And at first I was like, is it to get the messages that we'll talk about later? But no, she seems surprised when she gets out at the end of the episode. So I was wondering, does she keep ordering soup because part of her remembers eating soup with Solo in Silo 17?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Amy even mentions it. You always order soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this episode has a couple of good lines. Like the algorithm has one. This isn't her remembering a dislike for mushrooms. Like the algorithm starts throwing shade at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Camille came in and it's like, she
Camille.
remembers she doesn't like mushrooms. Like, okay, chill. That's not an important memory to suppress. It's okay if she knows she doesn't like mushrooms.
Yeah.
It's not okay if she remembers the other silos. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, I hope this memory loss thing doesn't, as a plot point, doesn't drag on through the entire season. Just because I think we've had a lot of, really since season 1 of, Juliette goes round solving problems. Or, Juliette goes round solving a mystery, solving a thing. I'd like Juliette to get off the problem solving train a little bit and just develop a bit more as a character. Like particularly into the role of being mayor, because at the moment, yes, she is the mayor, but she's obviously being manipulated by Camille and everybody else. But I'd like to see a Juliette with her memories back, or at least partly back,
Yeah.
actually kind of grow into that role a bit.
I will say here that I'll link a blog post in the show notes to Hugh Howey's blog. It's an entry called Let's Not Forget. And I will warn up front, do not read it if you do not want book spoilers. It does have book spoilers in it. But just generally, he's like saying, okay, the season's coming up now. Book readers, brace yourself. There are going to be changes. And he explains the thinking behind the changes, which is something we're going to be exploring all season. So Abby and I will talk about it in the book spoiler section. I will wait until these themes are spoken aloud in here. But yeah, I'll just echo what he says. Let's just be patient because there's a reason that they're doing this plot, and it's just kind of to show how special Juliette is in a way, really, how she might react differently in certain scenarios than many other people would.
Yeah, but where we are at the moment, it kind of reminds me of not Bernard in Silo, but Bernard in Westworld. If people have seen Westworld, where his whole shtick as a character for like a season and a half seemed to be wandering around with a slightly confused look on his face the entire time. And it got kind of wearing after a while. And
Right.
I'm a bit worried that we might be going down this. Because I think I said this last season, for all that Juliette is the main character in Silo, I don't personally find her to be the most interesting character. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we brought up also, I think, in our trailer talk about Damon in season 2 of House of the Dragon, where that was a book expansion that people were tired of. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think we already see her by the end of this fighting her way back, where she's like, she just, her mind, she's been defined first and foremost as a curious person, and that doesn't just. You can change a personality by changing. You can change the way a person dresses by taking their memories and telling them these are normal clothes you like to wear.
Yeah, Shirley just being really discombobulated at the thought of Juliette wearing a dress. By the way, that's the same. It's the same design of dress that Mayor Johns wore in season 1. So presumably it is something to do with the office of mayor. It's not just.
Yeah, presumably she's just like taking out of Mayor John's closet because why wouldn't she? Yeah,
I don't know. Juliette, I think, is a good deal taller than Mayor John.
Taller, you think? I don't know. Mayor John's is still pretty tall.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd have to go back and watch season one
Probably
more
it's
closely.
tailored for her,
Yeah.
but yeah. I just want to point out two other people that are seen in this scene. One is a delivery person named Tony, played by Tuwayne Barrett. I have a feeling that he'll be showing up more this season. He seems lovely so far. We will mention him again at the end of this section of the Silo 18 section. And then the other one is the guard at her door, who's later seen following her around the silo, that he doesn't do much yet, is Deputy Jerry, played by Leon Akpan. And this is the same guy who, A, was afraid of Sims while holding him in jail in season one. Remember that scene with like the peanut gallery of comments? He's like, should we get him coffee? Everyone nods. Should we let him call someone? No. And he's also the scared deputy that Bernard made stay behind in the season 2 finale to help him put on his suit.
So he's probably liking a little bit of light bodyguarding duty, It doesn't seem anything too complicated.
Juliette is definitely less scary than Sims and Bernard. All right, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to ask some burning questions along with Juliette. Okay, snippets of Juliette's memories float back to her in her sleep of her final confrontation with Bernard Holland, Tim Robbins, before they re-entered the silo and were burned. When she tells Camille about this dream, saying there's something she has to do but can't remember what it is, Camille reminds her that she can't talk to Bernard and guides her through breathing exercises to calm down. Robert Sims, Common, who has been watching all of this from the janitor's closet control room, takes Juliette to see the place where she and Bernard burned together. He reminds her that Bernard was not wearing a fire suit, and thus he died in that fire and he was incinerated. But when he debriefs his wife, we see Sims smothering Bernard with a plastic sheet.
Yes.
So is Sims further... Like, we have our Simsnard scale. What's the Simsnard scale for anyone who hasn't heard
So
it before?
the Simsnard scale is it's portmanteau, Sims and Bernard at one end as the baddiest of bad baddies, and we kind of switch around a bit of who is the goodest of goodies. But Juliette is normally like the placeholder for that. But we call it the Simsnard scale because the person at the good end tends to change a little bit. But Simsnard are always the people at the bad end.
But who is now more Simsnard, Sims or Bernard?
I think so it's got to be Sims. I mean, Bernard may or may not have deliberately sacrificed himself to save Juliette. And, Sims is still out there being Sims, dropping bodies. So, got to be Sims.
Dropping him in a fire.
Dropping him in an incinerator. Also, like the porters that carried that body down. I hope they got a really good tip because that had to be heavy.
Also, that is a callback in a way to something that Abby and I have long since accepted we're not getting in the TV version, which is so Shift, the book, does do like the origin of the whole whatever's going on in Washington DC, but it also flashed back within silos 17 and 18 to the background with Solo in 17 and in 18 to the prior revolution. So we got different versions of both of those already last season, which makes total sense to me. So we've already actually kind of covered half of Shift, which is why we can do Shift and half of like Dust, or basically go back and forth like that for this season. So yeah, there's in the flashback to Silo 18, there's this whole storyline with this character called Mission and another Mrs. Crow character that's like been replaced by the Flamekeepers concept. And there's a big scene in there where Mission sneaking around the silo by hiding inside of a body bag. And we kind of got that with Papa Nichols last season when he did his sacrifice, but this looked more like it. And you just get this prolonged description of how sweaty and uncomfortable it is to carry a body bag.
Do you think Hugh Howe is like leaning from personal experience there?
I don't know how many body bags he's carried up spiral stairs. Apparently it took 6 porters 6 hours to carry him down. So I feel like that's like a okay from the writers. So ignore future inevitable silo jetpacking because TV. But yeah, I mean, so Sims says Bernard can't help you because I watched him burn, which to be fair, he also watched him burn in that quote unquote box of fire. I did have questions about the corpse wrapped in plastic because like you don't want to burn plastic. That's toxic, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's gonna put off really unpleasant smoke.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking too hard about that. But it did look like he was in a different bag when it was put in the incinerator. And this explains where those visuals of Sim in a red, I guess, fire suit we saw in the trailer come from too. So there we
Yes.
go. I think it's interesting. Sims says it flames 8 holes in Bernard's non-insulated suit so the poison could get in. So he was.
Yeah.
Is that a lie?
I thought that was a bit weird because if it's a lie, why make it up? Like,
And
why
then
not just have him killed by the fire? I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, why say that extra thing? I mean, it would make sense that would happen because Bernard didn't have an insulated suit, so it seems like it should melt and let whatever get in. But then why, if that's the case, why would Sims need to smother him?
Yeah, no, it doesn't really make sense.
And then we also hear that, that basically what happened after that abrupt cutoff at the end of last season is that burn lasted 3 minutes. And then your friends, they said, presumably Shirley and Knox, could get you out. So I do think it's interesting at this point, and obviously this changes as it goes on, but at this point she doesn't even question who these friends are. And obviously she's been told it's Camille, but you would think, yeah, I guess I shouldn't criticize because by the end of the episode, she is seeking out Camille. I'm like, hey, sorry, why am I saying Camille? Shirley.
Yeah, Shirley.
And she's saying, hey, we were friends. Like, can you be a friend to me now? I need a friend. It's basically what she's saying. And Shirley walks away from her, but we'll talk about that. Do you think we had some discussion in our trailer breakdowns about the Sims and whether or not they're working together? It seems like they are still working together.
They are now. I am not convinced they will be by the end of this season.
Okay. Because we see Camille looks up at the vent where she knows her husband's watching via the camera. So they are kind of like the ultimate power couple that they always hoped for.
They are, but I just don't think a guy as driven and a guy as focused as Robert Sims, and a guy who has put a lot of work in to trying to become the IT shadow. We'll
just accept that it was given.
We'll just because like the dynamics of their marriage have always been that like Camille is the one in the background and Sims is the one in the foreground. Yes, they've been a partnership, but he's always been the senior, more visible partner in that. And I just don't think Sims is going to react well at the end of the day to the power dynamic shifting in the way it is inevitably going to, because she has access to the algorithm and he doesn't.
Yeah, that is the question. I guess I'm sure she's been told. I mean, Sims was kicked out of the algorithm room, presumably so that the algorithm could tell Camille the stuff we saw Bernard tell Lucas last time, and presumably told her, you may not share this with your husband.
And who knows what else as well. Maybe it was just a thing about, there wasn't a role for him in the episode and the hours that child actors could do, but I thought it was telling we don't see Anthony, the Sims' son, in this episode either. Because I like, I wonder whether they've moved into Bernard's old apartment. Because I wonder whether the algorithm has its own cameras in that apartment that aren't wired into the wider surveillance network.
Oh, could be. There's like backup cameras that even Sims doesn't know about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, good question.
Because the algorithm is going to want to keep the head of IT under some kind of surveillance.
Yeah, and we know there's a bedroom in the vault, basically, in case it's needed, in case, the head of IT needs to seal themselves off. But considering things are peaceful in the silo now, presumably Camille does not have to stay there and would want to go home with her family,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
Yeah. Did you catch that Rick Amundsen, he of the stapler for a hard drive,
yeah.
died unceremoniously off screen? They said, "Oh, they only found Rick Amundsen's body 2 weeks ago."
Did they? Did they find Rick Armonson's body? I have questions. I have questions about that.
I mean, yeah, maybe he'll pop back up, but I did wonder if it's just like a thing you do if the actor was just not available to film, and they're like, "Okay, well, let's write him out in a line then."
Yeah, yeah, and it wasn't like Armonson was a big character,
Hmm.
but
But they were setting stuff up with his wife and stuff in
yeah,
the
they were setting
finale.
stuff up with his wife. Yeah, maybe it's just one of those things where you're in the writers' room and you think this looks really good, but actually, we've only got 20 more episodes or however many episodes left. We just can't fit this in because
Hmm.
Silo does have a lot going on at the moment. So maybe it was just a plot line they had to lose. But I'm
Hmm.
not. I'm not 100% convinced that Armonson is dead. Just
Okay.
throwing that out there.
I mean, yeah, if it was to save time, they did, like, there's a new character now we see standing behind Sims where Amundsen used to stand. So presumably second in command. I saw in the credits her name is Emerson.
Yeah.
So she'll come back up again later. But
And
yes,
Diego Obvious is there, just chugging
yeah,
away, pressing his
Di-
buttons, telling
Diego
us
ambitious.
telling us what's going on, being obvious.
He's being ambitious last season. We'll see if he keeps it
Yeah.
up. We also get a shot of Camille telling, like an offhand shot of Camille telling an IT employee to remove a bunch of something. And I'm like, what are we censoring here? Is this data? Is this video? Is this the video she later shows Juliette? Would she trust that to a random person on the floor in IT? Or are they just random censorship? We found it, like we heard from Allison in episode 1, where her paper on how to restore deleted data got taken offline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. How much do you believe? He sounds sincere, but when Sims says, "I hope you get more of your memory back, I really do," that can't be true, right?
No, that can't be true. But I do think the next bit is he means it, particularly why you held my wife and child at gunpoint.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he does want to know that. And maybe this is something that Camille knows about the drugs that Juliette's getting to forget, and maybe Sims does not.
Yeah.
Um, I say, yeah, Sims AGBP, always gotta be petty.
I don't know about being petty. Your wife and child were kidnapped.
But I think he knows why. He knows it was about the videos.
He does, but it doesn't really.
Hmm.
That only kind of makes it better.
But like Juliette's still sassy. Like she's like, I may not remember anything, but you know what I don't remember? Who the fuck you are and why I should care. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that I think it's we talked a lot about Martha and her agoraphobia, and I talked about having generalized anxiety disorder, and that's something that you deal with a lifetime to come over. But it's an interesting. I felt represented in the way that Juliette has this sort of alarm bell going off in her head that's like something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, and she's just like searching for it, like what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, and that's what the feeling of generalized anxiety is. So
Yeah.
I felt like that was well represented. Yeah, and then I see her reach out to Shirley, and then Shirley just freaking walks away from her. What do you think about? I know we feel bad that Shirley feels bad, but how do we feel about how Shirley's handling it with Juliette?
I mean, she's not handling it well. But then again, who would? This is a weird set of circumstances.
Hmm.
Even, but I mean, it's literally an unprecedented set of circumstances. So I'm prepared to cut Shirley quite a lot of slack here.
All right. All right. Well, let's check in with Madame Mayor. Juliette is now being trotted out as the figurehead for council meetings and weekly town halls, which are really being run by Judge Sims. At the council meeting of the silo's level reps and department heads, Sims blames all the silo's prior problems on Bernard, saying he claimed too much power, more than he says were granted by the pact. He says when rebellion came, Sims and his wife decided it was time for change, for transparency. Sims introduces Mayor Juliette, who hesitantly declares the first silo council meeting open. So were you surprised? I guess we talked about this a bit before, but for the main episode, were you surprised to see Juliette was mayor, only mayor, sworn in a hospital bed?
Yeah, like I think this is stretching credibility a little bit because surely, like everybody else, can see the same thing that Shirley can, Shirley can see that they're like she's not actually. It's obvious she's not running the meeting. Like Camille takes over pretty much straight away.
Nobody
It's
saw
like,
it with Judge Meadows.
yeah, but Judge Meadows, I think Judge Meadows was, I think, played the role much better than Juliette is or can.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like when it comes to Juliette, people at this council meeting or at the weekly town hall, whatever, people are blinded by her celebrity. And I just emphasize, I urge people to never underestimate how oblivious people choose to be about things.
Yeah,
Like
that's
people
true.
just want the rebellion to be over and want things to be good. And now the celebrity mayor's in charge and everything's fine. And of course, the
Yeah,
judge runs the meetings.
it's true.
I was saying, of Juliette clearly not enjoying the council meeting. She's giving me like my own personal post-COVID vibes, where she's like, "Ugh, like get me out of these crowds." But can you imagine if real Juliette were there, like how she would be kicking up a fuss about being forced to attend these meetings all the time?
Yeah, she would. She'd be right there with Harwood, who we'll talk about in a minute. But it's like, what's the point of this?
Yeah. We said, of course, the clothes are not her. And Camille even says, I know you don't like these appearances, but the people need to see you. So it's really confirming that she's just there visually as a symbol.
Yeah.
What did you think about the fangirls at the weekly meeting?
Yeah, I know. I thought that was a really good way of showing, like, what Juliette's status in the silo, isn't it? Because they're like trading trinkets that allegedly belonged to Juliette. So she's like this quasi mythical figure at this point.
Yeah, and we have Regina Jackson, played by Sonita Henry, is back. And sorry, in the second, I listened back to our second trailer breakdown, and I kept accidentally calling her Georgiana because I was conflating her with George, and she's George's ex, Regina, the one with the big fluffy cat.
The one with the big fluffy cat, yeah.
So she's back, and she is known for trading in relics. So it makes sense that she would be there to, she shows up with this sheriff's badge and trades the fangirls for the stuffed dog that Juliette saved from recycling after her brother died. And then we later saw on her father's shelf in his apartment that he kept it all those years. And apparently someone looted his apartment after his death, took the dog. And now I even did like a side by side of what it looks like before and now. And these cruel people, they've like rubbed off all of the fuzz on it. Like it was in good shape on this shelf for years. And now within weeks, people have just rubbed it bare bones.
Well, wouldn't that just be recycling going into everybody's apartment after they've died?
Well, maybe it's recycling who took it.
Like it's not deliberately looted.
Well, the girls made it sound like somebody deliberately took it because of the link, but it could have been someone from recycling too, or someone in between. Okay, but question about Regina. So we see she and Juliette see each other. Juliette, of course, doesn't recognize her. She does recognize Juliette. Probably doesn't realize that Juliette doesn't recognize her. But so it makes sense that she's there doing this as a relics trader. That it's known that that's what she is, especially since she was kind of forced into only doing illegal activity by George and the events that unfolded and that were talked about in season 1. But do you think there's any possibility that she intentionally went after this toy in the hopes that she could use it to jog Juliette's memory, or do you think it's just a coincidence?
No, I think that scene is there simply to sort of underline Juliette's status in the silo now as not just mayor, not just mayor, but as a sort of quasi-mythical, almost quasi-religious figure.
But why do you think Regina was there?
I think just for the reasons you said, she's a trader in relics, so maybe, but I didn't take any more than that from that scene.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, and then we get later in the episode the council meeting in the Mids cafeteria, and we get some updates that one, that Sheriff Paul Billings, Chinaza Uche, is rewriting portions of the pact. I was wondering, I was trying to check, like, I wonder, he's probably rewriting some things relating to the syndrome, but it seems like he was, when sitting at that long table, he was clutching his hands rather hard, like he was trying to stop it from shaking. So we saw that in the end of last season, when he was in the down deep, the syndrome seemed to have gone away for a while, or gone into remission or something like that. And now you agree, you think it's back?
Yeah, although it could just be habit, because once you get into the habit of doing things like that, you do it unconsciously.
That makes sense too.
Yeah. I'd like to know what parts of the pack he's redrafting apart from that. Like, and also, is it in the? I was thinking about this. Did they choose the Mids cafeteria because it means that people from the top of the silo and the bottom of the silo have to travel an equal distance?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think this show's trying to start? One of the other updates we get is about the cameras. Is this show starting a CCTV debate?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But no, I just thought, making it the Mids cafeteria. I wonder whether there was like a debate about where these council meetings were going.
Oh, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. And this is the first meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also hear Bernard claimed his authority not from the pact, but from the order. We know this personally. The general public doesn't know about the order.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
But Sims doesn't mention the order. He just says tradition.
No. Yeah, we know that he claimed his authority not from the pact, but from the order. And that's why he did the things that he did. Sims does not know that, but Camille does now know that.
Yeah.
And in terms of like what you're saying about tension maybe brewing between them, I did notice her face when he called her out. He's like, we're going along with it, and then said, and my wife too. And she's like, excuse me, why am I catching strays here? Yeah. So I wonder, and his whole thing about transparency and like, we only left the cameras that are necessary for public safety and security. Like, well, that's flexible.
But I thought it was interesting that they didn't say we got rid of all the cameras. They admitted they kept some.
But it's like in our real world.
Yeah.
There are cameras that are deemed necessary for public safety and security. But of course, there's always debate about how much is needed and what they should be able to do and whether AI recognition should be allowed and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
I do, again, I said it in the trailer breakdown, but I do like, he says, truth does not come without costs. But what costs do you think Sims means here?
I just think he's putting on a show, to be honest, and I think he does sort of feel bad for all the people he's killed. I'm not saying I'm not saying that's gonna stop him, but I do think he feels kind of badly about it.
Okay, all right. So not completely immoral or amoral.
No, I don't. I don't think Sims is completely amoral.
Okay. What do you think of, you made a reference to a new character, Ed Harwood, played by Ned Dennehy. What do you think of this new, he's from the mines, and we meet him complaining that the Mids is too far for a meeting.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting, because he says that none of the mine shafts go out more than 200 feet sideways from the silo. So they go up and down and they double back on each other, but it never goes more. Presumably, that is to stop the tunnels from two silos ever meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that's a rule in the books too.
But yeah, it does make you think though, if they can only go 200 yards out, and they've been doing this for 300 years, or that's what Harwood says based on the number of tunnels. It's it makes you wonder where all these silos are in the world, because it's quite impressive that the mines haven't run dry if they are that limited in terms of where they can go. So are they all like sitting on, are all these silos sitting on a massive like deposit of iron or copper or something?
Seems like it, yeah.
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 Because this is one of the tinfoil hat idea. Well, not a theory, but this is one of the things I want answers to this season. Where are we?
Okay.
Where are these silos in the world? And are they the only set of silos in the world? Because I don't think they can be, unless there's a resource constraint that they haven't mentioned yet. Given what we're going to see in the Washington timeline, my working hypothesis at this point is there might be thousands, if not tens of thousands, of silos scattered all over the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So just mark that one for.
All right. Just
mark that one for later.
Yeah. Two things about this Ed Hardwood thing. One is indeed, as you're saying, like about the tunnels doubling on each other and stuff. So we find out there was a collapse in the B-92 spur off Subshaft David.
I wouldn't really call it an accident. Wait, you wouldn't call it an accident?
Yeah, he basically says it's inevitable because of this whole thing about where they've been doubling back on each other, and plus the instability from that bomb going off.
I'm not taking sides.
What do you mean taking sides?
No, it's Harwood. I'm not taking sides. Yeah.
I'm not taking sides, but I'm just saying you blow stuff up, it shakes the earth, that causes issues. And he says, so 7 trapped but rescued. Yay for that. So we do know, he says he can tell from the digging it's been at least 300 years. Just a reminder that Bernard explicitly said last season it's been 350 years since this whole silo thing started. So this is something that Camille would know. This is something that Lucas would know, because obviously we heard Bernard say that to Lucas. So wherever he is, but no one else in the silo should know this. So this is, so it's interesting that just because he knows his mining stuff, he's like, this is how long it would take. He's probably had a lot of time to think about this and, do some back of the napkin calculations in his head. And and indeed, like about the other silos, again, Juliette knows, but doesn't remember. Lucas knows about it because he was the shadow to the head of IT. Camille, of course, knows because she's the current head of IT. And probably Sims does not, and definitely no one else would know about the other silos. So, but we see also in this conversation that Juliette's curiosity can't be fully suppressed. This is one of the first times we see it bubbling back up, where she's like, well, wait a minute. Why does the pact limit digging? That's weird. And she's like, we'll look into that. And even Billings he's like, yeah, we'll look into that. But it doesn't look like he means it. How do you think? What do you think is up with Billings right now? Where do you think he stands in things vaguely?
I don't know, because I'm with you. Well, he said, we can look into that. He didn't say it with any, enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. And, when he's talking about, trying to find Patrick Kennedy, it's like, they wear masks. Well, no, obviously they wear masks. You don't seem to be putting much effort into this sheriff. So
yeah. I wonder whose side Billings is on.
Yeah.
So this Ed Hardwood character is the one character from the new character that I said I think might be a renamed, reworked version of a character from the books. In the books. In the 3rd book, particularly, there is a character named Rafe, R-A-P-H, who is a miner. He's described as albino. And I wouldn't say Harwood is albino, but he has noticeably very very low in the melanin count. So I feel like he is, because he's obviously the person they put in this show to be the representative of the mining side of things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's certain. I don't think he is albino, but it makes sense that, like you say, he's a little bit light on the melanin, given that. Well, I mean, actually, everybody in the silo they do have artificial sunlight, but everybody in the silo should be a little light on the melanin.
Okay, but he actually is. So
yeah, he actually is.
So I that's another reason, and just because he's the representative of the mines, that's the reason I think he's a stand-in for this Rafe character. But then I'm like, well, why did they change the name? And I think it's because the Rafe character in the books he's like a real ally to Juliette, and obviously they have given this guy a different personality because nobody can have things easy. There's always got to be difficult personalities in the way.
and also, we'll probably get into this in a minute, but it looks like he's under some sort of investigation for
or his
corruption.
Daughter is. Yeah, his daughter is, and he obviously is defensive of her. Yeah. And then also, I love Knox calls him out for complaining about having to walk too far. And okay, but this, so, good for Knox for calling him out. But now I'm confused about where are the entrances to the mines if not below mechanical?
Yeah, they have to be.
But I guess, so in the books, they do make it sound like they're just digging beneath the silo, like ever deeper. And here it sounds like they are digging up around the sides of the silo.
Yeah.
So there's probably a science reason for that maybe a geologist can explain to us. Like maybe it's too deep in the earth to keep going under more than a mile.
We don't actually know. Like, we know how many levels the silo has.
It's a mile deep.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't say where does the iron ore sit in the surface. Maybe that's what it's about.
It's a mile. You know what you need to dig a silo a mile deep, Elysia.
A special drill?
You need a special drill.
Oh, we'll get there. But yeah, so just a reminder, Knox gives us a reminder here, and we see it, the construction around that later, is that Papa Nichols bomb blew a gap in the stairs. So now they're using these elevator type things to cross the stair barrier, which is technology expressly forbidden by the Pact.
Yeah, but they do address that. It's like, because Camille basically says, needs must.
Right. And even the algorithm is like, yeah, we lightened up some rules so that you can get things under control there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, apparently there's a few Pact rules that have been suspended, possibly permanently. So I'm curious what the other Pact rules that have been suspended. And also, it's worth noting that Shirley is in charge of reconstruction. We'll come back to that later.
Yes.
And so the Knox also, his update later it's very basic. Basically, we won't say much about that. Generator still humming, but Juliette doesn't remember fixing it, of course. And he says something else interesting. The digger void. So that's where the digger is, obviously, and also where Lucas found the door. It is, he says, word got out and people, mostly young idiots, are getting stuck in there. Martha Walker, played by Harriet Walter, has taken it upon herself to seal off access. So no access down there. Is this where Martha and Lucas and company are hiding and meeting or things like that?
Yeah, that's what I took it to be. Because, I wonder if she's gone down there, has the algorithm that was speaking to Lucas, has it spoken? I guess not, because, there are a series of steps that Lucas and Meadows had to follow to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, because it actually said in episode 10 of season 2 that George Wilkins found the door, but he didn't speak to Wilkins.
Right, because he didn't have the status to be spoken to. He wasn't.
But it's not. I'm not sure. Is it just status, or is there? Because Meadows and yes, they were both the shadows to IT, but they also went with a series of steps with the book and the code and the Solomon Quinn's code. So,
well, I think that's just how they found it in the first place.
yeah.
But the voice at that door, I guess we can also call that the algorithm. Sounds the same to me. The voice said said basically they were spoken that George was not spoken to because he was not the head of IT. So that's because George also followed a series of clues, maybe slightly different ones.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So we get the related super short update from Billings. Crime is down, and he was ready to stop there. So it's another thing where I'm like, Billings is not being the most cooperative.
Why are you being so shady, Paul? Why are you being so shady?
And so Camille presses him to continue and specifically asks about, indeed, the two fugitives, she says, Patrick Kennedy, Rick Gomez, who has been cited, and Lucas Kyle, played by Avi Nash, who, quote unquote, may have died in the rebellion. And this is where they drop the thing about, like, Amundsen, we just found his body 2 weeks ago.
I'm calling bullshit on that.
Well, this is the question, is why are they fugitives? So, okay, we saw Kennedy leading people outside, trying to go outside before, in the events of the season 2 finale, before Bernard and Juliette basically stopped them.
Yeah, so that's why Kennedy is a fugitive.
Lucas Kyle, I mean, I guess they just said he's with the rebellion, but I can't help but think he's being pursued because he knows too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to sort of labour the point, but how hard can it be to find somebody in a silo? Like, there's only a limited number of places they can go.
Well, there's been a lot
they are literally locked in.
A lot of hidey holes, and you can move around while people are looking somewhere else, especially if you have help. Yeah.
But like, there was a whole, because they like, and Patrick Kennedy is very good at this because there's a whole like section of season 2 where they couldn't find him either. He was in the digger void. But yeah, like Patrick Kennedy, yeah, because he is the leader of the faction that still thinks it's safe to go outside. Although I don't, like, if that is the case, like, how do they explain what Juliette did at the end of last season? Did they not see that? Or are they discounting that?
The sign she held up, you mean, that says not safe, don't go out. Yeah. Well, so we're going to get to this group called the Outsiders that's running around, apparently, allegedly, at least, as followers of Patrick Kennedy. So we'll get back to them in a sec. But let's talk about the other major new character introduced in this episode that we meet at this council meeting, Orla Kent, played by Quaylen Sepulveda. I hope I said that correctly. And she is the new shadow to the head of supply. The head of supply, again, being Carla McLean, played by Claire Perkins, who is apparently planning to retire. So Orla said that Carla sent her because she's like, well, I'm going to be taking her place, so she wants me to be at these meetings, which makes sense. But I'm also like, yeah, if we are mysteriously missing Walker, would not Carla be up to whatever Walker's up to at this point?
Yeah.
So do you think she's really not there because she wants to retire, or she's really not there because she's hatching plots?
I think, probably a little from column A, a little from column B, to be honest. I'm sure she would like to retire, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, so Orla, completely new character. I don't remember. There must have been a shadow to the head of supply in the books, but I don't remember if that's like an especially important character, not as important as McLean. But now we have this tension between Harwood and Orla, where he's being a dick about her age, which is 26. He's like, I got boots older than that. And she's like, so do I, Mr. Harwood. They're my Aunt Doreen's boots. Which I had to know. I was like, Aunt Doreen, that sounds familiar. I went back and looked. Diego's aunt is named Doreen. But but Diego's aunt apparently worked in construction. That's how she recognized the saw that they were using to like go through the floors when they were trying to pass the barrier last season.
Okay.
But and this one, Orla says, worked supply side 40 years, as did her parents. So I'm guessing they're two different people, but it would kind of be fun if Orla and Diego were related.
It would be fun.
Yeah. And we also find out that that Harwood's daughter Glenda, which of course I'm thinking of the Good Witch. Anyway, she's leaving supply. He said because she doesn't want to work for a teenager. We find out later it sounds like she was fired and is being investigated, as you said. And so he hopes she'll come home to the mines, where he says she's truly at home, which sounds like projecting to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, Orla says that Glenda was 26 when she became the shadow to the head of supply. So I'm like, first of all, how old is she now? How long was she shadow to the head of supply? What happened? Why did she lose that position? Where is she? Show me Glenda. But I think I like how Orla kind of introduces supply is important, obviously, in the silo system. It's important to the story. It's important to this society. So I like that they're exploring that more now, because that was something that was explored earlier in the books with the rebellion stuff. But we find out Orla grew up in the bays, which I guess is the shelves, started pulling boxes on the High Line at 10, supply through and through. And then she calls Harwood out for not really mining himself anymore. Like,
yeah, although to be honest, Harwood, he must be in his 60s.
Yeah. No, I mean it's literally backbreaking work, right? They say people die in the mines, so yeah. And Orla's report is, since the rebellion shut down, there were many shortages after that, of course, and also supplies pilfered probably by the rebels, but also maybe looters at large. But they released a quote unquote prudent amount from reserves and critical supply and cut back usage, and now they're back on track to pre-rebellion levels. Because of course they have very limited ability. They have like the metal shops and stuff we saw, but last season, but they have very limited ability to create new things. Like supply had to stock things up for centuries.
Yeah, and she says later on that stuff's gone missing as well.
Mm-hmm. But for now, in the public meeting, she says, "We are good in supply," which triggers Juliette. And then I'm like, what does she know? Is that a coincidence that she used those words? Or did Carla tell her to use those words or something via Martha?
Yeah, maybe.
Because of course that's what Martha wrote on the note to tell Juliette, we got you the good tape to go outside.
Yeah.
All right, let's take another quick pause here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about these outsiders and what they are up to. So we have people in hoodies and masks running up the stairs, hanging a banner over the side painted with green trees and the words, "This is the truth, the display is a lie." And then they storm IT with pipes and other makeshift weapons. They subdue the only raider they come across and break open the door to an office. Orla comes to Juliette asking to speak to her privately. She confesses that a lot of the critical supply stock has gone missing. She suspected it's moving through construction. But then Billings interrupts to tell Juliette about the banner and IT break-in. When Juliette sees the banner, it triggers more suppressed memories, this time of being outside and seeing that green world, and then seeing it dissolve into a world that is, despite what this sign says, indeed a toxic wasteland. Camille urges Billings to find Kennedy or at least one of his followers. In the janitor's closet, Diego Ambitious, Akikotabe, briefs the rest of the Watchers. The outsiders know how to avoid the cameras, so they're having trouble tracking them and figuring out who they are. Later, we see Orla oversee the rolling of barrels out of supply and locking the door behind her. When her partner, Chris Fulton, asks what it was, she says IT said they're low on vitamin D and that they should ship 2 barrels of vitamin D plus to water filtration, a job that will apparently take 3 days to get done because it's so heavy, basically.
I was wondering, because Bernard says that this is what they did after the last revolt.
What?
To putting the memory suppression drugs in the water.
So the vitamin D plus.
Yeah, the vitamin D. Yeah, the vitamin D plus. I think
what's the plus?
Yeah, what's the plus here? Because actually, I think this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think Camille and the algorithm are still following the order to the greatest extent they possibly can, and so they want to try and make people forget.
Also, in that Flamekeepers episode in season 1, episode 7, Gloria was saying something about the water too.
Yeah.
But this whole thing with the outsiders is a new show only element, so I'm not completely sure what the deal is with that.
Also,
Like,
what's going on with the? I mean, probably quite a few of them didn't survive the rebellion, but what's going on with the raiders? Like, they got all the way into IT.
yeah, where there was only one raider walking the
Yeah.
hall. I guess they weren't expecting it.
Well, yeah, but how did they get that? Because I mean, yeah, there are still cameras on the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how did they get there?
And my question is also, what do they want in IT?
I think
was their
one
goal?
of the display I think they were going for one of the display units.
Like the helmet for cleaning or something?
Yeah, to sort of take it apart and figure out how it works.
Okay. All right. During this break-in, we see a woman get hit in the arm. So yeah, we need to look out for a woman with an injured arm in the next episode. But also Emerson, the new Watcher woman, played by Florian Claire, said she might have broken her wrist. So we're going to be watching out for a broken wrist or other arm injury.
Yeah, like I get where they're coming from that, but like surely there are loads of people in the mines and in mechanical with like bandaged wrists.
Sure, but how many? I mean, I guess she probably went to the doctor after that.
I guess.
So, how many people went to the doctor that day for an arm injury or had an arm injury who didn't the prior day? That's got to be a finite number of people that at least.
I guess, yeah, but it's not like I don't think it's like a complete giveaway.
No, but it's worth keeping an eye on because it is like it still is only about 10,000 people in this silo. That's not much.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
The banner is obviously wrong about, being outside. And of course, we get the flashback to Juliette remembering seeing that V of birds. She saw it in the video that she found on that hard drive. And then she saw it in the visor of her helmet. And that's what made her realize, like, oh, this is fake. Because that she learns from Solo that they're called birds. But she's like, those things wouldn't be doing exactly the same thing every single time.
Yeah.
So she realizes it's fake, and then she steps beyond and sees like, oh no, it's a wasteland and there's more silos. So yeah, my question here is, as we already brought up, why are these people not like paying attention to the fact she held up the sign that it was not safe outside? And it also seems like if Juliette can tell them it's not safe outside, I know they're suppressing her memory because she knows about the other silos, but like, you think that they would want her to remember that she said it's not safe outside so that she can use her celebrity status to
yeah, but I'm guessing for the reason for that is that the drugs aren't selective. So when Sims is talking to Kennedy about this, he says that they can like measure out the dosage in terms of time, how much time you want to forget. But he doesn't say that like you can keep some memories and suppress others.
Right. It's kind of a blanket treatment. Yeah. That would make sense with just the way brains work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the implication we get is that this is Patrick Kennedy and his followers? Do you believe that?
Yes.
Do you think Billings knows where Patrick Kennedy really is or knows more about all of this than he's letting on?
He knows more than he's letting on. I don't know that means he knows where Kennedy is. And the thing is, even if they found Kennedy, even if they arrested Kennedy, it still wouldn't stop this. Because like there are at least like 24 of them, I would say. But what I don't get is, like I said earlier, did they not see what Juliette said on that sign? And if they did, why are they discounting it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, especially if they made it sound like Patrick Kennedy and Lucas are together. I'm guessing they must not be, because if Lucas were with Patrick Kennedy, he'd be like, bro, No.
Don't go outside.
No. Don't do that. That's genuinely bad news to bears out there.
Yeah.
I also have questions about what Orla does or doesn't know, because we see her looking expectantly over the rail just before the outsiders run up. And at first I thought, like, oh, she knows they're coming. And we also see Billings clock this. But then I thought later, like, no, because she says later that she thinks that the missing supplies might be going through construction. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's what she's paying attention to when
Yeah.
she stops and looks over.
But I mean, actually, the two things might not. They may be just two angles looking at the same thing.
Hmm.
In the sense that there may be materials going missing, but they may be ending up with the outsiders. And it may be going through construction.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely, this is what's happening. But my question is, what does Orla know?
Yeah, no. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think we know whether this is common or garden corruption, or whether this is actually, whether these two things are actually linked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I just made an assumption, and so did Orla.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she, it's interesting that she says we're all good in supply at the meeting. And then she pulls Juliette aside later, which, first of all, how hard was it for Camille to let Juliette walk away and have a secret conversation with someone? But Orla says there's a problem, and I was told I could only talk about it with two people, head of supply, which is Carla, and the mayor, which is Juliette. And Carla presumably knows whatever Martha knows.
Yes.
So, yeah. I guess what I'm landing on as we're talking here is that indeed there's like two different groups, one led by Patrick Kennedy, perhaps, and a different one where it's like Lucas and Martha or whatever, maybe in the digger void,
trying to figure out what they can do with what they know. And that means at some point Lucas has got to try and get in touch with Juliette.
Yeah.
But
she doesn't know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it also means that so does Patrick Kennedy.
Yeah.
Because the common thread that's linking all of this is she is the only person that's been outside and come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Loved getting the glimpse inside supply, because there's also like about in the rebellion stuff, there's these nice stories about like the dogs of supply. I love it's nice to see.
Do they pull sleds and stuff?
Maybe, but it's also they're in the books they're mostly talked about as guard dogs.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't want people to steal from supply.
Yeah. No, but I just wonder, like, with for light loads to sort of keep supplies moving and to make sure the porters are used efficiently. I've just got this image of like them doing like Saint Bernard, like rescue dog style, like with a sled on the back.
What do you think of we got a new couple, Orla and this guy? His name's not in the credits. He was credited as a guest star, so I'm not sure what his name is.
It won't end well. Never does.
Like I said, new couple to kill.
New couple to kill or otherwise make miserable.
Just kidding. They're not in the book, so I don't know. I don't know.
No. This show has definitely put its cards on the table. Monogamous relationships. Bad thing.
I'll say it does kind of work out that way in the books, but they're changing things up a lot in the show. So for example, I said before, there are couples that would already be separated because one of them is dead, and they are not at this point. They are still alive. So maybe people will die, but hey, like people have died that didn't in the book. So I don't know. It's interesting that Orla said seeing Juliette made her feel better about everything. Is that like her celebrity status?
Yeah, I think it is.
Or she just comes across as competent even when she's hazy?
I think it's mostly her celebrity status, because I don't think she does actually come across as competent when she's hazy.
And then, of course, we learn the stuff about Harwood's daughter being investigated. So many questions there. We learn about that... Orla's like wondering about what's being taken, and that maybe she said something in the gap gave her an idea of how, quote unquote, she might be moving stuff. So I'm like, is this she Shirley? And then she says to her partner, I'll tell you later if I'm right. And I'm like, well, that's like, I'm going to retire in 2 weeks and then the character dies. Anytime, I'll tell you later if I'm right. No, tell them now.
Tell them now. I want to know now.
Tell them now. Oh. Do you think if Shirley is moving stuff maybe to help the rebels or Kennedy or whatever, I guess Knox doesn't know? That could be quite extreme.
I'm not sure that I don't. Maybe Shirley's doing that, but I'm not convinced.
Okay, just because Orla thinks so. Who do you think might be doing it if not?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure that. Like, I think this could just be run of the mill corruption. I don't think these two things necessarily have to.
You don't think that it's so that they can get supplies to these outsiders? Because where are the outsiders getting their supplies?
You know, honestly, I hadn't thought. You're probably right, but honestly, that hadn't occurred to me. I just, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good. No, I'm gonna have to chew on that now for a bit, but yeah.
Okay. Well, in support of there's something shady going on with these vitamin D plus barrels. I had to note that, they're talking about their very heavy barrels, which is why they have 3 teams switching off, and they'd have to use the sled, she thinks, so they have to work at night, and it will take 3 days. So, first of all, shady that there's different teams switching off so that there's like no one completely following what happens with these barrels.
Yeah.
Also, they have to do it at night, also shady. But why does it will take 3 days, feel like some sort of ticking time bomb?
Yeah, they do like to do this, don't they? To introduce a clock.
Yeah. So keeping an eye on 3 days passing. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how much happens in the next episode. We also get some algorithmic questions where Juliette's curiosity is now back in full swing, and she asks Camille how she got into the silo, realizing she would have had a plan if she didn't know Bernard was going out. Juliette remembers she brought a crowbar, and the memory of her breaking her helmet visor open after entering Silo 17 flashes through her mind as well. Camille tells her that she's misremembering there being another silo, and she actually just went to a shack and hid out there until she returned, and that's where she found the fire suit. And Camille shows her a video she says was taken by Juliette's helmet cam to support this, a video Juliette has been shown before. Then Camille returns to debrief the algorithm, assuring that Juliette has accepted the false memory of the refuge hut. But the algorithm is still concerned, saying they're outside the order now. He tells Camille to double the dosage of the memory suppression drugs. So, okay, this whole hut thing, first of all, what is that? Is that just like a thing they made up? Is there really a hut out there? Maybe?
I just took it as they made it up. Because the algorithm, has probably got the computing power to be able to do
CGI?
that.
That's beyond what we've seen so far, but
yeah,
obviously the algorithm looks more advanced.
Yeah, so. I think the algorithm could do that.
Why would they think Juliette would accept if they have to live in this underground silo? Why would she be okay for however many days in an unprotected hut, changing suits even?
Yeah, why would that hut even be there?
It feels like when Bernard was saying the whole thing about the tape, like, we've discovered a new type of tape. And it's like, that's just a desperate stopgap of someone who knows.
You're just creating way more questions in the long term. Is it? I know we haven't talked about this yet. Is it just me, or does the algorithm, now that we've sort of heard him speak more, does the algorithm's voice not sound like Daniel's voice to you?
Do you think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you think that would work?
I don't know, but it's stuck in my head that they sound very similar.
Like Ashley Zuckerman.
Yeah, so
okay. All right.
I don't know if that means anything. I don't even know if I'm not barking up the wrong tree, but it just stuck in my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is interesting that they make sure that we see that door code again when Camille goes in.
Yes.
They repeat
it twice. They sort of linger on it. Yeah.
Yeah. They repeated it twice in the finale. And the number again is 552039. So any thoughts about that what that's about?
No, but they did it for a reason. I just can't work out what it is.
Okay. I mean, the number must have a meaning, right? That's my assumption.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we hear, of course, that Juliette has no memories for 3 months other than those you've given her, whatever that
Although
means.
I take issue with that. You've given her a story. You've not given her memories.
Okay, so the semantics you take issue with.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've not given her memories. Like,
so it's not like they've injected memories.
Yeah, they've not like. It's not like. Yeah. You've given her a story. You've not given her memories.
Okay. And then Camille says the order says the memory suppression drugs aren't perfect, and then this is when the algorithm says we're outside the order now.
Yeah, the algorithm gets a little bit sassy.
Is that why you think it's not a computer?
Yeah.
HAL is a very sassy computer. Just saying.
I'm not saying it's not a computer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying its voice and Daniel's voice seem very similar.
So you think it was modeled off his voice or something?
Possibly.
Okay.
We'll get to that later because it's the Washington D.C. bit where the tinfoil comes out.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk about the last part of this Silo 18, and then we're going to get into the Washington, D.C. stuff, where there's less of it this episode, but it is obviously some of the most intriguing stuff.
Well, I'll go and get the tinfoil.
All right, let's do a little bedtime reading real quick. So back in her apartment, Juliette takes more quote-unquote vitamins, from Nurse Amy, and takes her leave just as Tony brings Juliette her dinner. Soup again, of course. This time, a special chowder. Special indeed, as it contains a message for Juliette. Want to know the truth? Leave your bowl upside down. Go to the marketplace at 2. Burn this. So Juliette sends the tray back with the bowl upside down, telling Tony she turned the bowl upside down to tell them she didn't like the soup, and burns the note.
And Tony's okay with this. Like, Tony does not question the logic of why would they think you didn't like it. I'll tell them you didn't like it. It's fine.
I mean, I guess, like, I question for a moment, does Tony know about the message? But since he had the response of, why did you turn that upside down? I'm like, I guess he doesn't.
Also, how big are those vitamins? Like, those are some big pills.
Are they? I don't know. I've taken some big pills, I suppose.
Okay.
I wondered, though, about the soup thing. I was saying I wondered if she was, like, having memories of eating soup with Solo tickling her brain. And then when he said, if you don't like it, I'll get you the chicken noodle. I'm like, get the chicken noodle, because that's more similar to the soup she had with Solo, and food brings back memories.
But was it soup she was having with Solo, or was it stew?
I mean, it was a chicken soup or stew, potato.
Yeah.
In terms of the smell triggering memories.
Yeah, that's true. Also, if it's chowder, does that mean there are ponds with fish somewhere in the silo?
It does. I mean, yeah, there are. Well, at least I know from the books that there were fish farms. Indeed.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Because these silos are also kind of like arcs, right?
Yeah.
Although they don't have everything, clearly. There's no elephants in there.
Yeah, no elephants, no lions, no tigers, as far as we know.
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, yeah, everything that they eat or need for production, at least, is in there. So I know, I can tell you this because it just wasn't in the show, but in the silos, like, there was a fish farm that when Silo 17 broke down and flooded and stuff, the fish got out and were swimming in the silo. So Solo was fishing them with Elise, who is Hope in the show.
Okay, cool. Because, like, one of the things I kind of hope we see before the end of the series is, we've seen construction, we've seen supply, we've seen mechanical, we've seen IT. I'd really like to just spend an episode on the farm. I think that would be interesting. Like, I want to, at the next council meeting, I want the head of farming to give their report. Yeah,
because so I mentioned that there's the flashback to the Silo 18 rebellion in Shift that we saw a very different version of last time, where they had that Salvador Quinn character instead of as a Mr. Wick was head of IT in the book. And anyway, it's a whole different story. But in that story, this Mission character he was a porter who grew up on the farms. So that actually was an insight into the farms more.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. She really didn't like the taste of the soup? Was it because there's mushrooms in it again? Or is it because she tasted like the metal of that container?
I think she's because she tasted the metal of that little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. It would make sense. Yeah. And then we get the final song, and of course we're going to go to the other side, but the final song after this scene with the notes is Come Talk to Me by Peter Gabriel, which I thought was a really interesting choice for this because it's like a really offbeat song. I had to look it up, and I found on the wiki says Gabriel wrote Come Talk to Me about the breakdown in communication between him and one of his daughters who believed that her father had become distant following his divorce with Jill Gabriel. He noticed that his daughter struggled to express her grievances pertaining to their strained relationship and characterized the song as a cry from the heart. Do you think there's any meaning behind the selection of this song to end this episode?
Well, I mean, so certainly I think somebody in the production staff really likes Peter Gabriel because there was a Peter Gabriel song that Solo was playing last season.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just one of the things in the vault. They have a Peter Gabriel album for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over to the other side of the story. The before times ? I guess I can just say that because they made it clear in the.
Yeah, I don't think we need the question mark.
All right, let's start with Charlotte's paranoia. We have fighter jet pilot Charlotte Keene, played by Jessica Brown Finlay, stalking through the Washington, D.C. streets in what looks a lot like our modern day into the Willard Intercontinental Hotel.
I was Leo pointing meme at that because I've been in that hotel.
Okay.
Or I'm 90% sure I've been in that hotel. I didn't stay in that hotel, but I spent a day walking around Washington and really, really, really needed to pee. So I just popped in. I'm pretty sure I just popped in that hotel to use the restroom, but I'm 90% sure that was the hotel.
So we see her go in and out of it. And that was my question and she's changed her clothes because when she walks in, she's in her, Navy gear. And when she walks out, she's wearing plain clothes. And so I'm like, did she just go in there to use the bathroom or did she have a meeting or something in there? Because this is a famous hotel that's known as it's called the Hotel of Presidents, but I don't understand because presidents live in Washington, D.C. So they just live in the White House?
If I'm right about this, it used to be where the president-elect would stay prior to being inaugurated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, I'm 90% sure I've been in that hotel, or at least been in its bathrooms, and its bathrooms were very nice.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's where she changed, or maybe something else happened. But then we see her, there's this cool circle shot that goes around and we see Charlotte go in and then Charlotte go back out in different clothing and her hair down and stuff. And then she boards the metro, but she sees an older man looking at her. And when he boards this same train as her, she jumps off at the last minute, seemingly afraid that he's following her. And so I'll say that the Reed Birney is the guy who was following her. He's uncredited, but I know who that is. So
okay,
just noting that. We'll come back to it, I'm sure.
Also, it's been a while since I've been to Washington, but I was always staggered when I was there just how cheap the metro is. You can buy like a day ticket that'll get you pretty much anywhere for like $10. Yeah.
Do you think he was following her, the guy?
No, I think she was just being paranoid.
Okay. So we know from this Charlotte character, this is a new character, obviously. We know from the season 2 finale when Daniel was talking to Helen, who's Jessica Henwick, doesn't appear in this episode, talked about in this episode, so we'll talk about her more in a minute. But when talking about this alleged dirty bomb that from Iran that supposedly went off in DC, but Helen doubts it, she asked him, do you know anyone who was affected? And Daniel says to Helen, my sister's the only one who lives in DC, and she was away at the time. So yeah, I immediately thought it was like, okay, he's talking about Charlotte clearly, and she was away because she was on a mission because she's in the military. So now I can say that plainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is basically, this whole plot with Charlotte here is added into it. Like, they're bringing her into the story a bit earlier, which I think is a good thing. But this is all we hear about her from this point. This is from the second page of the first full chapter of the second book, Shift, while Daniel's waiting for a meeting with Senator Thurman, who is a military man in the book. We read, Donald leaned in closer to study the decorative coins. The number and slogan on each one represented a deployed group. Or was it a battalion? He couldn't remember. His sister Charlotte would know. She was over there somewhere out in the field. So that's all we know about her at this point in the book. But okay, I was already asking you about this in advance. I thought, I know that the Navy, I'll say my older sister actually was an air traffic controller in the Navy for a while.
Okay, cool.
So I know obviously there's these carriers that have these, so it makes sense that she would be, she could be a jet pilot in the Navy, you know, working from, we find out working from a ship called the Nimitz. But what did you think about, you know more about the military than I do. What did you think about like the triple logo ensemble she had going on? I thought it looks like an Air Force sign.
No, it will be. I tried to sort of pause it, but I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it paused in the right place. But I think what it will be is so for each aircraft carrier, they have their own air group. In other words, there's a dedicated set of pilots and engineers that are based permanently on that aircraft carrier, and they will have their own logos. So I think it's probably that. And also, if you go on like major exercises, they will often give you like a patch as a souvenir to say that you were there, particularly if they're sort of big multinational NATO or joint exercises with places like South Korea and Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we find out that this Nimitz ship is fresh off a refurb. And she flies an F-35. I'm sure plane heads. Hey, we'll talk about this separately in just a moment, but that whole mission thing, I can't wait. We watched these screeners. I watched it on my computer, and it's not always like the highest resolution that they give us for screeners, but so I can't wait to watch that on my proper TV because that looks gorgeous when she's flying the jets.
That did look very cool, and they did get one important piece of continuity right, which is the F-35 does have a 50,000 feet service ceiling. In other words, that's the highest height it can comfortably fly.
Okay.
Before things start to go wrong.
Okay.
Because like the amount of times you see stuff like this, and I know why they do it because it looks cool, but you've got like jets with like really high service ceilings going along at like 200, supposedly like 200 feet off the ground, and it's like, no, that's just, why would you do that? That's dangerous. That's unnecessarily dangerous. You only do that. You only do that if you absolutely have to, and you don't. So I'm glad they did that.
Okay.
Because it's a bit of a bugbear. The other thing is, Charlotte and Daniel actually look like siblings.
Yeah, they're good casting.
Because one of my big pet peeves for TV is when they cast people as siblings that don't look like siblings. So, well done. They get a gold star for that. Yeah. They actually do look like siblings.
And we also get this is a change though, by the way, that Charlotte flies this F-35, because in the book she is a drone pilot rather than a jet pilot.
Okay.
And I'm guessing it's like, I don't know, for anyone who listened to my interview with Sal Calleros, we talked about how some radio plot lines from the first book were cut, and basically it was deemed it's not, visual enough.
Yeah, it's not cinematic enough.
So I wonder if it's the same thing with the drone pilots, that it just looks a lot cooler to actually have her fly those cool jets. I get that.
Also, it might make more sense with the with the injury and with the goo that we're going to talk about in a minute as
Sure,
well.
yeah, that she would come into contact with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although the only reason why I, am like, oh, a little bummed about her being changed is just I thought it was really interesting an aspect of the book where she struggled with being a drone pilot just because she was removed, but then also, okay, so this is a quote from Shift chapter 7. And he in this case is Donald, Daniel. He had seen videos of what Charlotte did, camera feeds from the drones and then from the missiles as they were guided into their targets. The video quality was amazing. You could see people turning to look up to the heavens in surprise, could see the last moments of their lives, could cycle through the video frame by frame and decide after the fact if this had been your man or not. He knew what his sister did, what she dealt with. So I just thought it was interesting, that sort of guilt that Charlotte was carrying with her. That's not quite the same in this case, but it's fine. Like I said, the jets looked cool.
and you do get very similar testimony to that from real life drone pilots. So I'm sure Hugh Howey went away and did his research for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that story in almost those words quite often. Yeah.
But it was okay. So when we'll get to the jet crash in a moment, but when the jet crash is happening, it's Mayday, drone controls are going down. What are drone controls if she's flying? Like, is it like an autopilot or what is that?
Yeah, no, I didn't get that.
Okay.
I don't understand. Okay. I don't understand that one.
All right.
Unless we are talking about the near future, and there are sort of plans, or you see this in a lot of sort of what the Air Force is going to look like in 10 years, where you have a manned aircraft that's basically also piloting a swarm of drones around it, behind it, under it, ahead of it. But I don't think that's what's going on here.
Okay. All right. So this is a great place to take our last break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a clandestine sibling meeting in the park. So junior congressman of Georgia's 15th district, Daniel Keene, played by Ashley Zuckerman, is cold calling constituents to ask for their votes or funding, perhaps. Then we cut to him meeting his sister on a park bench where she stresses the need for secrecy before teasing him about thinking that meeting we saw between him and reporter from the Post Helen Drew, played by Jessica Henwick, was a date last season. Charlotte says Helen is working on a story and told her all about her meeting with Daniel. Charlotte is the one who told Helen to approach Daniel in the first place. Now she urges her brother to find a way to join Senator Thurman, played by Laura Innes, on the Iran committee and tell Helen whatever he can. She tells her brother that she can't tell him any missions she herself may or may not be assigned to, but she urges the importance of Daniel taking action. So we already talked about this in the season finale a bit, but there's no 15th district in Georgia today. So is this a signifier of population growth? I suppose so.
Yes.
We'll talk about this actually more in the next thing, but he's Mr. Army Corps of Engineer that comes up in the next section we'll talk about. But I loved this interaction. It was a brief scene that they included about him cold calling Mr. Jones, and we hear, "Don't call me again and I'll vote for you. Call me again and I'll vote for anyone else." And I think this just kind of emphasizes the political apathy of most citizens. Like this guy, Mr. Jones, does not care what Daniel or his opponent stands for. He just wants to not be annoyed by thinking about it. And also goes to show that campaign money is not coming from these average citizens.
Yeah. Although I will say this. So the constituency I live in for the UK Parliament is North East Fife. And for a time, it was the most marginal constituency in the country. Like between 2017 and 2019, the sitting MP had a majority of 2 votes. So I got constantly cold called. I got constantly bombarded with literature. And as somebody that I think is very politically engaged, it did drive me up the wall. So yeah, I was at the point that I would have voted for anybody who would just leave me alone.
All right, fair enough. So with Daniel's meeting with his sister, I had to look up of like, where exactly are they? And so I think they are next. The bench they're at is next to the World War One memorial. And it's because we can see it's next to some water too. And when Daniel's walking toward her, we see the Washington Monument and the tops of the World War II memorial visible behind him as he approaches. Not that that's important, but I sure feel better knowing. What did you think about the sibling dynamics?
I thought the sibling dynamics was great. Silo is not a great show for one-liners. It's not a funny show, but I did like the line, if our parents were alive right now, they'd be frantically scratching at their coffins trying to get out. that genuinely made me laugh, and it's made me chuckle all week.
Yeah, so we learn their parents are dead in that line, but also we learn the fact that, like, she, you know, he says, if mom and dad were alive right now, and then, like, they complete this sentence together. This is clearly a back and forth that they have regularly. That like he knows as soon as he starts saying it, he's like, I know how you're going to respond to this. Yeah. I liked all the little things that they did make Charlotte a bit more, you know, they've added a lot more edge to people's personalities, and that definitely includes Charlotte as well. Like, she definitely had a backbone in the book for sure. But here she's like a bit pricklier, which seems to be a common thing about the way they're writing these characters.
And like, I mean, this is the thing. We've talked about like the paranoia and the changing clothes. Like, what does she know? What does she think she knows?
Yeah, because this whole thing where like, I said if you didn't do what I said, I'd punch you in the throat. And she also says some other prickly things. Shouldn't you be on the phone sucking dick for money? And even if I was, I couldn't tell you, civilian swine. That last one's clearly a joke. But yeah, about the paranoia. Like, she made him do 2 trains, 2 cabs, and circle back. But then I'm like, if so secretive, why such a central place to meet? But okay, fine. It looks good on screen, and I suppose there's a lot of tourists to blend in with. And and Daniel also says, you're off post, but you're not on leave. Shouldn't you be in uniform? So clearly all the paranoia as we keep seeing from her. So indeed, you're asking the right questions.
Yeah. So what is it she thinks she knows?
Something about this Iran mission.
Yeah, because we'll get to it in a bit, but this is where I go all tinfoil hat. And
I love also the whole thing, like, I got you some sweet tea. It's called iced tea here. He's like, well, we're from Georgia. Like, don't.
Is that obviously I'm a Brit, so I didn't get the distinction. Is that an important distinction?
I think it's just to emphasize that they are from. It's to emphasize that they're from Georgia, and then Senator Thurman and her daughter, as we'll meet, are also from Georgia, so they're all from Georgia.
All right, there's nothing. By the way, there's nothing worse than iced tea. I don't.
Really?
What is the point of it? No, it's no.
What's not the point of iced tea? You just don't like the flavor.
That's
that's do you like? It's just because it's cold. You don't like cold coffee either, I suppose.
No, I like cold coffee, but okay. No, tea is something that's served warm with milk in it.
Ugh. Yeah, no, you don't put milk in iced tea. I mean, I know you put milk in your tea in Britain. But we don't put milk usually in hot tea in the US either.
But no, the whole idea of iced tea is
for me, I prefer iced tea to iced coffee, but also I grew up with it, and it's definitely it's especially a southern thing, although definitely drunk in the north, but it's especially a hot weather thing. So it tastes really good. Like, it's either iced tea or lemonade, or best, you mix them half and half.
Okay.
And that's just perfect on a hot day.
Okay.
Although I do have iced tea, actually. I love iced tea and lemonade, and I have both of them in my fridge right now.
Okay.
It has been a heat wave, so.
Yeah, I'm not yucking your yum, but no.
I suppose it's American for sure.
Yeah.
So this whole conversation, you know, digging into what you're saying about what does she know, just to revisit what we learned from this conversation that Helen and Daniel had in the season 2 finale. Helen said to Daniel, I'm here because I think that the people you work for and by that I mean the citizens of this country, not the shadowy creeps who pay for campaigns, I think the people need to know if there are plans to strike back against Iran, whether or not there really was a radiological weapon attack on the United States. So, first of all, just to acknowledge, and then we won't go into it, obviously, this whole Iran storyline ended up being more relevant than I think the show writers intended.
Yes, definitely.
So, but we'll just, it actually has no real relevance with what's going on here, except that it's
No, except I think
historic, yeah.
Except I think Hugh Howey might be a time traveler.
I mean, but you have to think like that Hugh Howey is remembering, like I remember in the 90s, the Gulf Wars, these things that you yourself are personally studying.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's where this idea came from. But it's also in the books, they also mention like North Korea and stuff too. So there's more than just the US and Iran. I don't know if they'll do that in the show too.
Interesting.
She said you gave her a Pez. Charlotte brings up.
It always comes back to the Pez.
Which was, again, a duck for the University of Oregon because that is their mascot, and he thought it was a date. And he said he thought it was funny. Oh, it's cute. And then the whole, this comes up a few times, this New Orleans thing. She said you also managed to work New Orleans into the conversation. So I had to look up, how did that go again? And basically, she was like recapping to him she's like, oh, you were in the Army Corps of Engineers because you can't run anyone these days unless they served. After you got your master's in engineering at the University of Georgia, you joined the Army. Well, kind of. And he's like, kind of. And she's like, Army Corps of Engineers isn't exactly humping an M16 through the sandbox, which first of all sounds a bit like Charlotte, but anyway. And then he says, thank you. I better change the subject before I start bragging about what we did in New Orleans. And she said, oh, look at you working that into the conversation so smoothly. So he says here, she was dismissive of the Corps. I thought I'd set her straight, which I think is a fair representation of that conversation. But then he's very defensive of it still to his sister. We did things no one else had thought of before.
Yes, they did, didn't they?
What did they do?
And this is where it gets interesting. They invented a particular type of digger,
a drill,
a drill, yes. Which yes. So
you know what was the silo was built with?
A drill.
Was it that type?
See, can I? I'm going to need to jump ahead a bit for tinfoil hat purposes. But okay. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that this goo is extraterrestrial in origin. I think it's a fair assumption. So, what if...
Is it?
Well, I'm going to go with its aliens.
Okay.
I'm going to go with its aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the goo is aliens, governments of the world know the aliens are coming.
Why? I'm going to question everything.
Okay, just let me get to the end.
Okay. But why do they know the aliens are coming, though?
I know, telescopes stuff. Okay. So they know the aliens are coming. They know they've got no chance of winning our fight. So instead of resisting an alien invasion, what if you just hide from it? And therefore, what if you dig a load of silos? And the whole point of the pact and the order is to make sure you don't come outside. And what if the reason why the atmosphere is unbreathable is that the Earth is being terraformed?
Okay. By the aliens, you mean?
By the aliens, that's what makes it poisonous.
Okay.
So what do you need in order to build the silos? You need engineers and you need people that designed drills. So what if this Iran committee isn't an Iran committee at all? What if what it's really doing is designing and building what if it's like the Alien Response Committee?
Okay. I mean, I think that also, yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is, what if Daniel is the father of the idea of the silo?
Oh, you
What if it's
thinking,
all his idea?
or at least, I mean, I think the one thing we can definitely safely assume at this point is that
Yeah.
his drill technology, which we find out later, is also special because it doesn't like disturb the soil at the surface. Um, so it's more gentle, whatever. So I think it's safe for us to assume that this drill technology was used to construct this silo. And we're going to find out this season how one connects to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but what if
obviously,
what if the silo was all Daniel's idea?
okay, we'll find out. Um, and then so then we're going to get into this discussion about Thurman, but for now we hear from Charlotte that she's like, yeah, ask the Senator Thurman to be on this committee. And Charlotte says, doesn't she owe you? And he's like, for what? And she's like, you said good things about her. And he's like, I was running for Congress. She's a senator. We both represent the good people of the Peach State. So we find out that that basically Thurman is a senator for Georgia, where Daniel is a congressman, but they are from different parties and they don't know each other. And I'll say this is two big changes from the book, because in the book they're all old family friends, the Thurmans and Donald and Charlotte.
Okay.
So it's just adding another wrinkle. They have to get to know each other instead of just like Thurman automatically wanting to help them because they're old family friends, which is the case in the book. But then the other thing is, they've made them, instead of being the same party, which is Democrat in the book, they are now of two different parties, which I am especially, I'm interested to see how this first change plays out. The second part about being different parties, I'm actually kind of relieved about, because we've had so many debates on the book part of the Discord and in the book club episodes and the feedback and everything about what does it mean that they're both Democrats and blah, blah, blah. So I think all of that gets swept away a bit if you just make them of different parties. It's not about what party they're in.
Yeah, the writers just didn't want to get into that mess, did they?
Which is fair to me. Yeah. Yeah. He says, they really don't know each other. He says, I'd be surprised if she even knows my name. So,
Okay. But yeah.
And I also love in this scene at the end of it, this is one of those 2-minute meetings that are typical for TV, to the extent I don't really question why people meet in the park and immediately go the other way. But I was grateful that Daniel called it out. He was like, that he was like, wait, I did all this.
I took 2 cabs and 2 trains for this?
For 2 minutes. And she's like, gotta go, bye. But I love just also showing again the way the siblings know each other. He's like, you forgot something. And he throws up a finger, but she doesn't even have to turn around to know that he's giving her the middle finger, and she gives him one in return. All right. So then he meets with the senator. So we have Senator Thurman, played by Laura Innes. She agrees to take a meeting with Daniel, and with her is her daughter Anna, played by Morven Christie. And Daniel asks if there will be retaliation against Iran for the alleged dirty bomb they set off in D.C. And Anna says, of course there will be. Daniel asks if he can jump ahead in the Iran committee line due to his assumption that his sister is attached to the retaliation mission. And Thurman says she'll see what she can do. As Anna escorts Daniel out, she reassures him that he didn't actually blow it, despite her warning in the room not to push too hard.
Yeah, couple of things here. Firstly, I think it's cute that the people writing this, and Hugh Howey in particular, thinks that the senator is going to have any influence whatsoever on US military policy. Because, like, if there's one, I'm sorry, not to go off on a huge rant, but if there's one thing the last couple of months have proved, it's that the executive branch can do pretty much whatever the heck it likes.
Well, I think it depends
when it comes to blowing stuff up.
I mean, that's what's going on in the U.S. right now. But historically, there are, and even now, there are senators who are extremely powerful behind the wings. And a thing about a senator is they can hold the office longer. So it's definitely the case that there are senators who are sometimes even more powerful than the president.
That was gonna be my second point. When Daniel leaves, the senator has to ask Anna what her sister's name was, even though he's only just said it. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but do you think that was a bit of sly commentary on like how many geriatric senators there are?
I think Thurman sharp, but I can't really comment on what I think about Thurman at this point yet. Okay. What do you think about the new characters in general? In this case, what do you think about Thurman and her daughter Anna?
Well, I mean,
you just met them, but
I just met them, and also it's Laura Innes, it's Dr. Weaver. How can I not? How can I not squeak? Frankly,
I'm not an ER watcher, so I only just learned that she's in it, but I'm excited to see. Well, it's like I was just like Widow's Bay was one of my favorite shows of the year, and I know Matthew Rhys only from the Wine Show. I've never watched The Americans, but now after watching Widow's Bay, I'm like, I see why people like him. So I'm looking forward to having that experience with Laura Innes. She's gender swapped versus the book, as I referred to earlier, which some people think is a big deal. I do not, because it certainly works well for Walker. So,
yeah. And again, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this because it's TV and it doesn't really matter. But she keeps going on about a friend from JSOC, which is Joint Special Operations Command. They would not be running this. They would. I mean, I'm not saying they would. I'm not saying they wouldn't know what was going on, but they wouldn't be the people you'd call.
Who would be running it?
It'd be CENTCOM.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just a small thing, but it just irritated me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, so I had to look it up. Laura Innes is from Michigan, but I think she's doing a decent Georgia accent. Like, I would love to hear from people who are from there. But to me, it sounded, and I thought it's interesting. She has the accent, but the younger generation does not.
And the thing is, it's a mild accent. She didn't lay it on too thick. Because I think that when you got actors trying to do like an identifiable regional accent, I think that's often the mistake they make. It's too much. I think this was quite subtle.
She was laying it on thick when she greeted him as the hero of New Orleans.
Yeah.
And Anna's being very sassy, a hero. And she's like, weren't there 500 Army engineers on the project? And the senator's like, no, but Daniel was key, right? Because he came up. So we talked about the invented some kind of drill that didn't disturb the soil above. So we talked about that. The other interesting thing that's dropped here is he came up with the idea of replacing levees with tunnels. So to control the water, because just for anyone who doesn't know, New Orleans has big flooding problems because of where it's like.
You know what a tunnel is, Elysia? It's just a horizontal silo.
Well, but you know what I'm thinking of more is, and this is again a change from the book, but that tunnel in the basement, could it be related to that?
Oh yeah.
Could that be some sort of drainage thing or something? Or yeah.
Yeah.
And so we find out that Anna works with her mom, basically writing legislation. And in the books, her specialty was different. She was more tech-based communications. So like I said, there's radio stuff in the books that hasn't been carried over to the show. So I guess it makes sense to move away from that. But she was also the one like helping Daniel set up computers and stuff because, like I said, family friends. So it's just like, your IT friend. That was her.
Yeah.
So so that's the reason she's in the office, because she's working with her mom on writing her legislation. But what do you think of her relationship with, because like there's this back and forth with her mom where she's like about writing the bills. Her mom's like, she tidies them up and she responds, if they start accepting them in crayon, she won't need me. Like, meow.
Yeah.
Interesting tension in the mother-daughter relationship here.
Yes.
And I found it interesting. Well, I don't know. I found it weird that Daniel, sorry, I'm trying. Daniel, when she's like, okay, pitch me about why you want to be in this Iran committee. And he was like, because my sister might be involved. And I would think that would make him less attractive because it means that he would be biased and emotional.
Yes, but I don't think this is an Iran committee.
No, fair enough. But I just, from Daniel's side, the fact that he'd be like, no, but I want to be on the committee so I can track my sister. And that would be like a hard no in most cases, I would.
But I mean, also, if it is legitimate, then, favors asked for, favors done, one hand washes the other kind of thing.
Yeah, but he's a junior congressman. How much can he help her?
Yeah, but he won't be a junior congressman forever.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Her campaign slogan was apparently "Don't try, do," which is she's a Yoda appropriator. I wonder. I hope we find out. Like we see somewhere that she's actually a Star Wars fan, as like the Rebel insignia somewhere, or the Empire.
Yeah, and this is the thing, Daniel. Yeah, you can see how Daniel won election. He's quite sort of charming in a sort of Kennedy-esque kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, just great casting. They're fantastic at casting this show.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the last section where I know your tinfoil hats.
Well, I've already got the tinfoil hat out a bit.
Okay. So last section, Charlotte goes down. Anna later visits Donald. See, I can't stop doing it. Anna later visits Daniel in his office to confirm that his sister is indeed slated to fly in the Iran operation that night. We cut to the operation in progress. 4 jets prepare to bomb. We're not really sure exactly what, when they run into a strange, gritty cloud. When they fly through it, whatever is in the cloud starts coating their jets, leaking inside, and coating their instrument panels and Charlotte's fingers. Anna and the senator later tell Daniel that Charlotte's squadron didn't hit any of the targets being talked about on TV. They were on a mission to the mountains when Charlotte's plane went down. She was picked up by a rescue team out of Turkmenistan, and the next day, Anna tells him that Charlotte was taken from Landstuhl, Germany to Fairfax, Virginia, to be treated for a traumatic brain injury. When Daniel visits her there, she doesn't know who he is. So first of all, pleased, so much of the trailers that we talked about did come from this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good. As I said, I can't wait to see this big operation on my TV. It was interesting. Like, I wasn't sure how to take what was going on. So they were flying with some bombs that were launched from a ship called the McCain. So they were like kind of escorting the bombs.
Cruise missiles.
And they need jets to escort?
No. This is a bit of Hollywood.
Okay.
You wouldn't do that, or they haven't done that in real life. So this is either what's called SEAD or DIAD. So SEAD is suppression of enemy air defenses. DIAD is destruction of enemy air defenses. And you can see this with how the US has actually gone about bombing Iran. What you have in the first instance is tons and tons and tons of cruise missiles, or what technically is called standoff munitions. So that is stuff launched at range that's autonomous. It doesn't have a human being inside of it. Its job is to basically crack open enemy air defenses by destroying both the launchers, the radar systems, the communications nets, the electricity that's supplying radars, stuff like that. You don't generally have that done now by actual manned aircraft. So this was just Hollywood, basically. So your F-35s will turn it. And like I say, we've got your F-35s in the real world didn't start turning up until day 2, day 3, when CENTCOM was pretty sure it had destroyed or suppressed as much of the Iranian air defense net as it was going to be able to. So they did this just because it looked good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we find Charlotte is Raider 2 on this mission. And then they said something else. So 75 clicks to target. Fine, that's clear. It's a distance. And then zoom back to Uncle Chester. Do you know what Uncle Chester is?
Yeah, the aircraft carrier.
Oh, but it's the Nimitz or whatever.
Yeah, but it's the Chester Nimitz.
Oh.
He was the Pacific Fleet commander in World War II.
Oh, see? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so about that stuff, one of the raiders says the substance looks like oil, but when we get a good look at it on Charlotte's fingers, it doesn't look like oil.
No.
It's like a bit, it's sticky, yeah, but there's something like a bit floaty about it, and it's like not staying glued together, like it's floating apart. So yeah,
okay. Here's where I'm going to get tinfoil hatty again.
Okay.
So we already know that there's some skepticism about the idea that a dirty bomb was used in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But we also see in the last episode of Series 2, when Daniel goes to the bar, he is checked by what we are led to believe is some kind of Geiger counter.
Mm-hmm.
Before he goes in the bar.
Yeah, and the guy says he never gets read. Yeah.
He never gets read. So, what if that's not a Geiger counter? What if this is not the first time that this gooey stuff has emerged somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
And what if the whole pretext of the dirty bomb was to allow them to scan people to see whether or not they had been exposed? Because, like, Charlotte is exposed to a lot of the goo. Like, there's quite a bit of goo.
Mm-hmm.
But what if, like, they were worried about people in Washington being exposed to this goo?
Hmm.
And also, like, I think that goo is if there are aliens, I think that goo is the aliens. I think it's like sentient goo.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. Is it? Maybe I'm overthinking this. But what if it's not just suppressing Charlotte's memory? What if this is like a possession type situation? Because as far as we didn't see whether the other pilots actually touched the goo.
We saw it all over their ships. Like inside. Well, yeah, we heard that it was on their instrument panel.
We don't know if any of that.
But we don't know if they made it out.
Yeah, we don't know if they made it out. So what if Charlotte is now like the host for this goo?
Okay. So what we hear, so Daniel goes to the situation room outside of Senator Thurman's office, and we see there's news on where it's like Operation Righteous Vengeance strikes against Iranian nuclear facility, which I'm like, nuclear facility on the water? Okay. Carrier group deployed to Mediterranean, second carrier group stationed in Persian Gulf, 30. I don't know what the 30 bombing is, but that was in the title too. So I have in the notes, how much do we trust this news? And obviously you're at no.
No, not at all.
Mission to a facility in the mountains, my ass?
Yes. Okay. I think this is, oh my god, aliens. Let's try and see if we can blow them up. Okay. And obviously we can't.
And so Daniel, he was on his way to the airport thinking that Charlotte was just 10 minutes away from landing at Joint Base Andrews just outside DC, and that he was about to meet her at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center when Anna calls and tells him that she's instead, that the senator pulled some strings and she's instead going to this Heidi Stenson clinic. And I'll say most of these things like that I'm naming exist in our real world. The Heidi Stenson clinic does not. We learn it's in Fairfax, so also just outside DC. And Senator Thurman says, or was it Anna, says, this clinic is the best in the world for TBI. The name should tell you why. And so Heidi Stenson is a fictional character in universe, not from the books, not sure who this is. But apparently this character had Alzheimer's, and she has a famous son who set up this clinic at great expense to himself. And so this name Stenson, not from the books, but I wonder if the character is. I wonder if this is a situation where they changed the name again. There's two characters. I think it's possible that this could be. So we'll see. But yeah, Charlotte has memory problems, which is very interesting. That so does Juliette.
Yeah. But like I say, I wonder if Charlotte's issues are like more serious than that. I wonder if we were like, this is some sort of some sort of like possession type situation.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more overall thoughts on this episode?
Like I say, I really don't want a season where Juliette wanders around with no memory. I think that's going to be kind of boring. I really like the Washington stuff. Yeah, and I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on with Shirley and Knox.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, good, solid opening episode.
You're intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
Let's round out this season premiere with a quick pick 3 game. So we're going to do the new characters, a game called Best Friend, Reluctant Ally, Mortal Enemy.
Okay.
So I'll give you 3 names and you choose. And I'm just saying, I decided not to put Harwood in this game because he'd be the obvious enemy at this point.
Okay.
Although I hope he has a character arc. Probably is a character arc, but at this point, obviously. So Silo 18 characters. Best friend, reluctant enemy. Oh, sorry. Best friend, reluctant ally, mortal enemy, Orla's boyfriend, and Tony, the soup delivery guy.
Well, look, Tony, the soup guy, is going to be best friend because he can get me soup.
Okay.
Orla is going to be reluctant ally. Orla's boyfriend's going to be mortal enemy because I don't know anything about him, so he could be quite an easy mortal enemy to sort of deal with.
All right. I'm gonna make him reluctant ally. I'm gonna make Tony best friend. Just he's gonna get me the soup deals.
Yeah.
Orla, I don't know. I'm not suspicious of her, but like, I need to know more about her. So she's currently my mortal enemy.
Okay.
It's not because I associate Harwood with a book character that I like.
Okay.
Because it's clearly not that character. This guy's a dick. Okay. New characters from Washington, D.C. Best friend, reluctant ally, mortal enemy, Charlotte, Anna, Senator Thurman.
Oh, I'm going to go with Charlotte for best friend, Senator Thurman for reluctant ally, and Anna for mortal enemy.
Ooh, what'd she do?
Well, I don't know. She's just been really She's been really snippy about that.
Okay.
She's being really snippy about the legislation with crayons.
Well, so was her mom, to be fair.
Yeah.
But she was snippy with Donald about, like, weren't there hundreds of...
Yeah.
Yeah, I realize I can't answer that question because I'm too deeply biased. The other ones are new characters. This one, I'm too deeply biased by what I know about the characters to...
Okay, well, don't spoil me.
Yeah. Okay, well, Luke, you and I will be back with full coverage. So we will be dropping our episodes on the days that they release on Apple. And you can also expect weekly extras in the subscriber feeds with a season pass option if you prefer that. Welcome new Silazins Holly F. and Patrick K. You and the other Silazins will have access to this week's extra episode that Abby and I will do, which is dedicated to the story of Charlotte. So looking at the overview of Charlotte's book story and how we think they might be playing with that for the TV show. In the book club, you can also catch up on mine, Abby's full book spoiler conversations, including separate breakdowns of the 2 season 3 trailers with deep lore dives and holiday specials. Also, getting into extra Doom prequel coverage and Hugh Howey short stories. So subscribers to the Supercast and Patreon feeds have access to these extra episodes and the other episodes ad-free. But I will also be issuing a season pass again for those who prefer that. Just a one-time fee to have access to all of the extra episodes. Check out next week's show notes for episode 2 for more information on that. But whether or not you are a subscriber, you can help us just by listening. Thank you for being here with us. We are happy to spend this time with you and fill your ear with Luke's tinfoil hat theories. We want to hear your thoughts and theories. Please send them to woolshiftdustpodcast@gmail.com. You'll find that linked in the show notes. And we will do occasional mailbag episodes like last season. Book spoilers are okay for those emails. Only I will see them. But then those book spoiler elements will be discussed in the book club episodes in the Supercast and Patreon feeds. So just FYI, if you enjoyed this episode, then please tell your friends, anyone else who's into Silo, tell them about this podcast. That is the best way you can help us, absolutely for free. Leaving a nice review wherever you're listening is also a massive help. And do jump into the discussion on the Discord as well. You'll find that in the show notes. We have separate spoiler chats per episode, plus a separate chat for book discussions. So that's already kicking off as we're recording this before the episodes even begin. So people are excited for the new season to come. Luke, are we going to get you on the Discord more often this season?
Yes, I will make a new season resolution to spend more time on the Discord.
Luke, where can people find you if they want to hear more from you?
So I am on Blue Sky, just Luke Midip on Blue Sky, and that's where you'll find me. I also do another podcast, It Could Be Said, with two friends from university, Simon Alvey and Will Cooling. We've gone from a once fortnightly release schedule to a once monthly release schedule because we just weren't hitting the once fortnightly release. So the last one we did was a preview of the ongoing World Cup. And I think we will do one next week to check in on how well our predictions are faring, which in my case was not well at all. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's me.
Okay, and you can find me also on Blue Sky. You'll find links to both of our Blue Sky profiles in the show notes, as well as to It Could Be Said, and also the Lorehounds podcast, where in the main feed we are doing weekly The Vampire Lestat coverage and weekly House of the Dragon coverage, and there are dedicated feeds if you just want those and related shows as well. We also have some extra things coming up, like we're planning some Supergirl coverage, which I promise will be fair. I am a Supergirl fan. I'm going into this movie wanting to like it. I haven't seen it yet, but I promise, yeah, it's not going to be some of the negativity I'm seeing is like, yikes. And I doubt I'm going to feel that way.
Okay.
And do check out the other affiliate feeds in the network. Right now, we just have Dungeons and Do-Rags just joined the network, and they are also covering House of the Dragon. Theirs is more like their vibe is four guys hanging out in a barber shop. So just like shooting the shit about the episode. So it's a nice complement to our more structured deep dives in the Lorehounds feed, which are more similar to like what you have here for this silo. Also my own The Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast. Check that out. Never mind the music, where music meets psychology. You can find a preview episode for that in this feed, but definitely recommend checking them out. And there's going to be a new feed coming up soon, Cosmere Corner, which is covering the Brandon Sanderson books that are going to be turned into TV shows and movies. So that will launch at the end of July. Watch out. If you're interested in Sanderson, watch out for more information to come about that as we're covering this show. Any final thoughts, Luke?
No, just looking forward to episode 2 now.
All right. See you then. Just wondering, is that some alien goo on your hands, or are you just happy to see me?